she might as well have a mustache.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, December 19th, 2021. This is your award-winning Keep On Nation Media Assassination episode 1409.
This is No Agenda.
Debunking the debunkers and broadcasting live from the heart of Texas Hill Country here in FEMA Region number 6 in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I'm enjoying an international taste treat, very unknown, called the pickled turnip. I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
I gotta tell you, there's nothing I love more in the morning than a pickled turnip. Did you really just eat that this morning?
I had a pickled turnip after breakfast, yeah. I pickle my own turnips, obviously, because you can't buy them.
I pickled my own turnips last night, but that's a different story.
Anywho.
Pickled turnips, interesting. I didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah, pickled turnip. I first had a pickled turnip when I was a little kid. I was living it when I was like pre-kindergarten. I remember them. And I always thought they were good. So I spent the rest of my life trying to duplicate this woman's recipe for pickled turnips.
Now, you have to cook the turnip first, right? I mean, the turnip.
No, you
really?
can pickle them raw.
Oh, a turnip is so hard.
They're not that hard, but they soften up. But it's a little better, and they're not as hard if you let them kind of shrivel a little bit. In other words, get old. And then they're kind of soft, not to the point where they're rotten.
Yeah, like the one you'd actually throw out instead of cooking it.
You probably would. You might want to throw it out.
Ooh, you had a couple of glitches.
But what? Oh,
yeah, you were glitching. No, don't worry.
You might want to throw it out, but you slice them up into different forms. You can do all kinds of things. And half apple cider vinegar, half water. About a tablespoon of salt, some herbs. Dill is always good in there.
My God, man! Think of a cooking Substack. I would pay money for this.
Some garlic. You need garlic.
Yeah, I would pay money for your Substack if you put more recipes in there. It'd be very valuable.
Anything to get rid of me. Nice try, Curry.
No, nothing. I don't want to get rid of you. Are you kidding me? The highlight of my week, twice a week, no less. So we have a great end of show mix, which I'm not going to play now, but Tom Starkweather put together this thing about New York.
He's in New York, so he gets to do these clips easier than we can.
Just insane. But
that's all they talk about in New York is their situation. Oh, we're all vaccinated, but we're all sick. Its town is sick. The Democrats running the state of New York, the stuff they're trying to pass, the bills going through the legislature. It's disgusting. And Hochul's she might as well have a mustache.
You mean a brush stash? One of those
no,
little
mustache,
ones?
like either Stalin or Hitler mustache.
Yeah, that's right, a brush stash, one of those little brush stashes. Yes, well, that may be true, and we'll hear that at the end of the show. But I think in California, the local Fox affiliate, Fox 5, San Diego, oh my goodness, they're pretty good too.
Medical experts are sounding the alarm once again as the Omicron variant and the Delta variant are hitting San Diego after the Thanksgiving holiday.
A surge upon a surge upon a surge.
Woo!
We can absolutely expect.
It's a surge on a surge and a surge. You know what that is? Science.
Woody Allen gag.
That's science is what that is. Surge on a surge. It's a surge 3, people.
After the Thanksgiving holiday.
A surge upon a surge upon a surge. We can absolutely expect this to get worse.
Exponential means every couple of days, everything's doubling. And so in just a few weeks, we're seeing a takeoff of cases.
Doctors from Sharp, Reese, Steele, and UCSD are warning those who are not vaccinated to get protected as fast as possible. And for those with 2 shots, to get boosted if it's time.
3 is now the new 2.
Experts from UCSD say the Omicron variant is most likely making up 20% of new infections and will likely become the primary virus in just a matter of weeks.
This virus is this contagious. It's just everyone's going to likely experience it And the volume that we would see of our unvaccinated folks would overwhelm our hospitals again.
If you're unvaccinated, you can't expect that you will be significantly protected from this new variant if you've had an infection with COVID in the past.
San Diego County health officials have announced just a handful of confirmed Omicron cases, but doctors from Sharp and UCSD say the community spread is happening as we speak.
Oh, my goodness, I'm tired from just listening to that report.
That pooped me out.
It's 3 is the new 2.
Surge and a surge and a surge for end of show.
I have a couple of good end of show ISO. Surge and a surge and a surge. The other one I really liked was 3 is the new 2. Ah, that's a beauty. But yeah. Well,
before we go too far, I want to play the COVID classic.
Ooh, a COVID classic. Okay. No other intro. Straight to it.
Classic.
I just heard from a friend in New York City today who did that last week. This is someone with 3 shots and has had prior COVID. So he's about as immune as you can get. And he felt badly yesterday, tested himself this morning and is positive.
Yeah, baby. I wanted to say something because, and we'll get to it in a second, the Netherlands went to hard lockdown again. Hard lockdown. And my sisters, we have the sibling chat group. And my sisters are bitching about it. Oh, that sucks. And I said, yeah, there's it really kind of sucks when you have these mandates where you couldn't even go to, let's say, a service for your loved one or a funeral and stay in the place where it's being held or eat there in a restaurant. And they're like, what are you talking about? Oh, I said, like me, when we go to New York, to put my dad into the ground, I said, I won't be able to stay in New York City because of the mandates. Oh, and by the way, I can't visit my daughter. And my sister, Willow, went right to, well, Texas, they had this law where citizens can sue each other over, ratting on abortion, if you do an abortion. I'm like, okay, nice deflection, but you know what? It's part of the mass formation.
Talking about deflection, what has that got to do with anything?
No, because she deflected. This is my point. She could not wrap her head around anyone else in a different situation. So, and they have mandates in Italy. She says, oh, I'm all for mandates, or no, I'm against mandates. She says, but whatever. She said, I'm pro-vaccine, but I don't think people should be forced. I said, yeah, but it's happening in Italy too. Yeah, so I said, but do you not realize what kind of hardships that brings on people? And they had not even considered it, even for their brother. So by that very same
heartless bitches.
Well, no, they're not.
That's what you just said.
No, in fact, I took a lesson from it, and I want to remind myself that we have many producers who have been forced into the vaccination, accepting the vaccine into their life. Some have done it voluntarily, and all the things we discuss here, just so we're clear. There's no evidence that everyone who has taken the shot into their life is going to die of a heart attack. But these things, in fact, is a very small chance. It's a lot of people. It's more than ever, but it's small. So I do have that in mind, and then so if it seems like we're mocking those who are vaccinated, obviously we are. So here is
just as an aside,
Yes.
The stats are that the amount of athletes that are having heart issues and dying, in fact, on the field of play is 5x normal.
Finally, in the UK, they're asking questions like, hey, can we have a little research into this?
How about some research?
How about some research?
What?
Yeah, how about
we can't have that. We have the rat poop police out there, the health department people. They're telling us what to do. They know.
Actually, I should probably do this clip real quick. This is from the BBC about the Dutch Christmas lockdown.
Well, let's speak now to the BBC's Anna Holligan in the Dutch city, The Hague. And Anna, why has the Dutch government done this, reimposed a stringent lockdown?
An absolute last resort. The Dutch do not like chaos. This is one of the most organized societies in the world. So the fact that these measures...
It's one of the most criminal countries in the European Union. What are you talking about, lady?
...have been taken...
Organized crime.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yes. You know what? She's correct. The Dutch like everything organized, including their crime.
...in the world. So the fact that these measures have been taken days before Christmas, really last minute, the last restrictions were introduced just on Tuesday. These were unanticipated, but they feel they have no choice, basically because of the surging cases of Omicron. The government's critics say, well, this is actually partly their making because of the slow response to the Delta variant, which has allowed the hospitals to become so busy, plus the slow rollout of the booster vaccine, because here the over 60s are only just being invited forward for their jabs. Just to explain more about those new rules, so over Christmas, people will only be allowed 2 house guests a day. So this really is a Christmas lockdown. Only 4 guests allowed on Christmas Day itself. The schools are now closed until at least the 9th of January. The Dutch Prime Minister, Mark Rutte, who you heard there, understanding that people do not want to hear this, he's quite conscious that there have been riots here in the Netherlands in various cities in response to these repeated rounds of restrictions, and people are frustrated because they were told this time last year, follow the rules, get your vaccines, and this will all go away. And yet here we are again, entering into another lockdown just before Christmas.
So the Dutch health minister, i.e. the Dutch Fauci, his name is Hugo. He was asked a question by the journalist. They always do this on an evening around 8 o'clock. They do it's a Corona conference, Presco, Corona Presco. And the question was asked. The reporter said, I'm translating freely, but I speak it fluently. So you're saying that the booster is the same formula as the regular vaccine? Yes, I am. And so this new variant, this Omicron variant, it's the same, but it has a different jacket, is how it's described. It has a different jacket around it. He says, so why, if these 2 vaccines of the same formula don't stop, why will a third stop? Why will the booster stop it? And
Good question.
And the health minister literally said, good question. We don't know.
Well, at least he's honest.
Unbelievable. By the way, the reason for the Dutch lockdown is well known, BBC. They even have a song. And the whole country was singing it, for a little bit there, and it goes as follows. We doen het voor de zorg. We doen het voor de zorg. We doen het voor de ouderen. We doen het voor de zorg. I will translate now. We're doing it for healthcare. We're doing it for healthcare. We're doing it for old people. We're doing it for healthcare. So that's what they've been sold. Healthcare is overflowing. We need to do it for the healthcare system. Just like the NHS in the UK. So, Christina she's devastated. They had all kinds of stuff lined up for the first week of January, work, gigs, all kinds of stuff. Nope, forget about it. Done. So, well done. And it's the same variant we have in the U.S., and we're not locked down yet.
Well, they're going to have a hard time, especially with this Omicron thing locking down. Even though, and I have a series of clips when you're ready from NPR trying to scare the public with Omicron.
Oh yes, let's play those. I got a quickie first from Dr. Death himself, from the Devil of Doom, Osterholm, just to get us in the right mood for the scary clip from NPR. I think Osterholm is the guy who is he's really the hors d'oeuvre to the NPR.
I will say without any reservation whatsoever that the next few weeks will be, for me, an unprecedented event in my 46-year career in public health. Over the next several weeks, I feel certain that we will see major changes in the occurrence of COVID-19 in our communities, what it means to us clinically, and public health policies that will come from that. I think we are going to see a viral blizzard literally ascend upon the world with Omicron.
John, it's a viral blizzard.
Write it down.
Viral blizzard!
viral blizzard.
You're welcome.
That guy is epitomizing the problem with this country, which is public health.
Yes.
Departments. I've said it. I've said it before. I'll say it again. These guys are a plague. They're so cautious. It's not funny. They're ruining the country. They're ruining the world.
Yes.
And all these schools that teach, they have public health departments, and people get degrees, Masters of Public Health, the MPH. And again, all I see them really being is rat poop inspectors. Seriously.
No, I know you have experience. You have standing in this arena.
I work with these people.
Yes, yeah.
So here we go. Let's start with the opener, which is not part of the series, but it's called the Omicron Opener NPR.
Okie dokie.
The U.S. is dealing with another spike of COVID-19 cases. Public health officials say it's an alarming rise, and they fear the worst is yet to come. Offices, schools, sports events, and theaters across the country are again beginning to shut down. It's starting to feel a lot like March 2020 due to the rapid spread of the newest coronavirus variant, Omicron.
Can we all say reset?
So this is their basic take on everything. This is a situation. It's a reset. You're right. Exactly. So let's listen to, here's the interesting clip. This is the first of a series of 5. They're all short, except one. This is the Omicron NPR Bad 1.
The World Health Organization says the number of COVID-19 cases involving the Omicron variant is doubling every 1.5 to 3 days in countries where there is community transmission of the variant. In the U.S., hospital staff are exhausted as their facilities fill to the brim. Now the Department of Defense has sent medical teams to shore up hospitals in many states. As NPR's Ritu Chatterjee reports, it's an effort to ease some pressure from the rising hospitalizations on an already strained healthcare system.
Question. If it's doubling every, what did she say, 3 days? Won't everybody have it within a month?
It's getting, probably.
That's logarithmic, right? It just goes boom.
But the reason I played this clip and just cut it off where I did is because this is a classic propaganda mechanism.
Ooh, okay.
They start off, and you might want to play it again. It's only 29 seconds, but I'll give you how it works. They start off talking about Omicron.
Yeah.
And they go, Omicron. And then they just drop discussion of Omicron and go into the fact that the hospitals, as the latent Delta variant has filled up a few hospitals here and there. I don't notice it around here, but I suppose there's some that are. And so they switch from Omicron to just a discussion of the situation at the hospitals as though Omicron's causing it.
Sounds a bit like a script, doesn't it? That's the same thing in the Netherlands.
It's a script it's a propagandistic script to scare you. This is shameless propaganda. Play it one more time.
Organization says the number of COVID-19 cases involving the Omicron variant is doubling every 1.5 to 3 days in countries where there is community transmission of the variant. In the U.S., hospital staff are exhausted as their facilities fill to the brim. Now the Department of Defense has sent medical teams to shore up hospitals in many states. As NPR's Ritu Chatterjee reports, it's an effort to ease some pressure from the rising hospitalizations on an already strained healthcare system.
Yeah, that's first of all, it's exactly what they said in the Netherlands. They had the whole song. Second, I have 2 boots on the ground reports, won't read them, but 2 boots on the ground reports from hospital workers who say, yeah, we're full. We're definitely full. And it's the rooms that are full, but it's not all COVID. In fact, it's a small percentage COVID. There's all kinds of other stuff coming in. So yes, there's problems, but no, it's not Omicron.
Well, somebody's told NPR to make you think it is.
Of course.
That's the way that report read.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, well, let's go on with Omicron NPR Bad 2.
The DoD has deployed medical support teams to civilian hospitals in at least 8 states: Colorado, Michigan, New Mexico, Minnesota, Montana, Idaho, Utah, and Washington. The military teams include doctors, nurses, and respiratory therapists. They're helping civilian healthcare workers treat a growing number of COVID patients in their hospitals. While most of the recent surge has been caused by the Delta variant, Omicron is quickly taking over in states like New York and Texas. scientists working with computer models to make projections for the coming winter months say that the new variant could bring the worst yet COVID surge in the US. Ritu Chatterjee, NPR News.
So the new variant is going to make things worse, even though there's no evidence that it's even makes you more than get a common cold.
Well, she said it was in silico. She said it was, the modeling, the predictions.
There's modeling taking place.
Yeah, the predictions, not anything factual.
Let's go with number 3.
The mayor of London says the rapidly rising number of Omicron infections in the British capital has made him, quote, incredibly concerned about staff absences in the city's emergency services. Willem Marks has more.
Sadiq Khan said staff absences meant that public services in Britain's largest city could not run at, quote, optimal levels thanks to staff absences, with 26,000 new infections recorded in London alone Friday. He warned that hospitals could struggle, while the UK government's scientific advisors warned that daily hospital admissions nationwide could soon come close to last January's peak, according to the BBC.
Ay. Are you panicked? Are you panicked yet?
Did you really do a number? Now, by the way, there's something that nobody ever brings up. But let's take a look at what are the two cities, what's the commonality between London and New York? Two cities, they're swamped under with these problems with COVID.
Uh-huh.
What's the commonality that you could say New York and London have?
Oh, that's easy. They both have coke snorting traders on the financial markets.
Besides that, public transportation.
Yes, of course, public transport. Yes,
New York and London, and this is the public transportation is the little pet dog, the baby. It's the most beloved aspect of the liberal democracies. I mean, the liberal progressive elements of liberal democracies. We shouldn't have cars. We shouldn't have individualities. We shouldn't have anything like that. It should be public transportation. We need more public transportation. Public transportation is the vector for this disease, period. It's obvious. But that never is brought up.
Wow. Yeah. Excellent point. Excellent point.
Will you hear it anywhere? No.
Why would you do that? We got everything on a roll. We know what to do. We know exactly what to Actually, we should talk about that.
Booster.
What do they need to change? What do they need to change this time around to make it all stick? That's the question.
Well, they're not going to make it. Here we go with part 4.
And all of Europe is preparing for a huge wave of the variant. The Dutch government has imposed a strict lockdown just ahead of Christmas that will last at least until January 14th. NPR's Eleanor Beardsley reports.
Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte announced a new lockdown. He said it was not a punishment, but a measure to avoid the worst. Non-essential shops, bars, restaurants.
Because the whole country is saying, we didn't do anything wrong. We did exactly as you said. And people are pretty angry now. So.
It's not a punishment. But why would you say, I'm going to do this, but it's not a punishment, unless it's a punishment?
Oh, no, that's the better point.
Non-essential shops, bars, restaurants, gyms, schools, and outdoor sports venues will close starting Sunday. Other European countries are also tightening restrictions. Ireland has put in place an 8 o'clock curfew. France canceled New Year's Eve fireworks. The French health minister warned that a wave of Omicron would hit the country next week and could swell the number of people in intensive care from 2,900 to 4,000. Travel between European countries is also becoming more difficult. Thousands of French people living in London rushed to get the last trains and ferries to France Friday night before a total restriction of visitors from Britain went into place Saturday.
Now, the thing is, of course, I don't know what the fireworks has got to do with COVID, but okay, maybe it spreads it. Maybe this thought.
Well, people always congregate and watch the fireworks.
You can watch it from the windows.
So elitist, you clearly always have a window with a nice view of the fireworks. Not everybody has that. Some have the alley view.
Well, you can still watch it. Okay, now this wraps with the New York City. They keep going from place to place, scaring you more and more. When there's going to be, by the way, there's no evidence that anyone with Omicron's ever gone to intensive care. but suddenly it's going to triple in Paris. Sure. So let's go to New York City part of this, the last part of this series of fear tactic reports.
And with that surge in Omicron cases in the New York City area, Saturday Night Live announced today on Twitter that its annual holiday show, hosted by Paul Rudd, would play without a live audience and with limited cast and crew. Jeff London has more.
Oh, interesting.
SNL posted a tweet at 3:27 on Saturday, which said in part that, quote, out of an abundance of caution, the changes would be made. Shortly afterwards, musical guest Charlie XCX tweeted that she would not be appearing on the show because of the limited crew. SNL has weathered numerous challenges from COVID. Last month, musical guest Ed Sheeran tested positive and had to play from home. And it's not the first time the show was played without an audience. In the spring of 2020, several episodes were taped entirely in cast members' homes.
Yeah, the cool thing is no one will notice. No one watches. It's an abomination. I love it's interesting. Why would NPR say posted a tweet instead of saying tweeted?
Oh, that's interesting. It's probably in their style guide.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's fine. I just found it. It's like as a radio guy, I'm like, you're wasting words. Just
no, I
tweeted.
understand, and I agree with you. And posted a tweet is tweeted.
Twatted would be better.
Obviously in their,
it would be funny if they say twatted. On their
maybe
on
somebody
their
said that by accident and they had to cut it back.
Here's the health minister of the UK, just a shorty, to catch up on his threat of lockdowns and restrictions.
We will see whether there are new restrictions or not, and we might come a bit onto discussing the Omicron variant. But if the government felt that further action had to be taken, of course, we would present that to Parliament, and it would be for Parliament to decide, as it always should be.
And you do that despite the revolt. Can I ask you directly, therefore, can you rule out new restrictions before Christmas?
Look, we are assessing the situation. It's very fast-moving. We've seen with Omicron there's a lot that we still don't know about Omicron. I mean, that's the truth of the matter. The reality is there's a lot of uncertainty. There are gaps in the data, but we must work with the data that we've got. We mustn't let perfection be enemy of the good.
I think that when this first hit, which is now what? How long are we living with Omicron? Is it 10 days? Is it 2 weeks? Is it a week?
I think about 2 weeks.
2 weeks. They said it would take at least a month to get the data. So they're going to get this data, which will be perfectly timed just around Christmas. Now, New Year's. And it's going to be bad. It's not going to be good, people. Omicron is it's hunting you down. It's going to find you. Let's switch to CNN for a second. Smirconish, who is obviously vying for the newly opened top spot in prime time.
COVID, it seems, has taken another turn for the worse. Woo! And for me, it's starting to feel like the new normal. As in, it's here to stay and will remain so.
This guy's taken the reset kind of literally. He's like, okay, boss, I'll use the same words. I'll do everything. I'll do this new normal. We had that one, remember? I'll do it both.
COVID, it seems, has taken another turn for the worse. And for me, it's starting to feel like the new normal. As in, it's here to stay and will remain so for our lifetimes. And while we need to take every possible step to protect ourselves and contain the virus, we also need to prepare ourselves psychologically so that we can live as normal an existence as possible amidst a pandemic that's becoming endemic. Here's the situation. First, from 30,000 feet. Cases and hospitalizations in this country both up 40% in the last month or so. While scientists think that Omicron is more contagious, most cases so far appear to be mild. But late today, President Biden warned that won't be the case for the unvaccinated in the path of Omicron as it likely explodes at the beginning of the new year.
It's here now, and it's spreading, and it's going to increase. For unvaccinated, we are looking at a winter of severe illness and death for unvaccinated. For themselves, their families, and the hospitals they'll soon overwhelm. But there's good news. If you're vaccinated, you have your booster shot, you're protected from severe illness and death.
Winter of death. Thank you, Prez.
I didn't clip it because it was not clippable. But
yeah.
Did you see that African guy in the press conference go berserk on
Say, you're lying about Africa. Do you have that? Do you have that clip?
No, I couldn't clip it because it's not clippable.
Yeah, you're right. Well, so if they're doing this reset, which is obvious, then we need to revisit the mass formation briefly. In fact, I have an agenda why I'd like to visit the mass formation. Because that's what could happen again. When people get locked down, we know from Professor Matthias de Smet, we know what happens. And I was delighted to see that master debunker Scott Adams was debunking the mass formation theory, which I think is it's an agreed to condition. I don't think it's just a theory. Mass formation is a thing, and it's been written about, and it's been peer reviewed. How it pertains to mass formation in the coronavirus is, I guess, what we're talking about. So I watched this, and I haven't watched Scott Adams in a while. I know. Do you watch him ever?
I occasionally catch him. I maybe once every couple of weeks I'll see where he's at with his thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's once every couple of months.
He'd be debunking this since he's the hypnotist.
Well, I of course, pulled a couple clips from this. And I'll say right off the bat, I like Scott. I like Scott Adams. I think he's interesting. He's the kind of guy you want to spar against because he's incredibly smart. And I'm disappointed, really, with what he did, but not surprised because I think I can prove that he, in fact, himself is trapped in the mass formation. And also, sorry?
It could be.
No, I think I think I can show it.
Okay.
And I also believe that you and I have heard the professor's explanation of mass formation as it pertains to COVID well enough so that we comprehend it and can reiterate it and explain it and measure Scott Adams' debunking versus how we believe it works. Now, this all came out of I guess he watched Dr. Peter McCullough on the Rogan show, and that's where McCullough brought up the mass formation. Now, Scott Adams, as you pointed out, he's a trained hypnotist. In fact, we should probably say right off the bat, we have proof that he is a very well-trained hypnotist. I mean, if you've seen his wife, you know this guy definitely is a hypnotist. Thank you. I wrote that myself.
That's a good one.
Thank you.
Come to me. Come to
me. And the reason, and so that's what, unfortunately, he didn't really do the research about the theory or refresh his memory, which is a big mistake. And he starts off with one of my favorite things that we talk about here, just in general about Dr. Peter McCullough.
I think he's not good at evaluating data. So when he says that some countries have good experience with ivermectin, that's just false.
Okay, John, you want to weigh in on that? Or should we listen to the whole clip here for a second?
Well, that's a pretty much of a whopper. I mean, there are, again, I've had this website that I keep referring to, which has changed its basic URL. It used to be ivmmeta.com, but now it's IV9 something or other. I don't have it handy. But there's about 70 studies showing its effectiveness that have been peer-reviewed, and then the FDA itself on their one web page where they say, oh, you shouldn't use ivermectin because it's unproven. They have a link on that exact page to 75 more studies on, where there's smoke, there's fire when it comes to the study of ivermectin. And then, of course, there's the use and discontinued use and then reuse and the watching the numbers go up and down. So that is a bad thing to say. Yeah.
Well, let's listen how he arrives at this.
and by the way, and Peter McCullough, who used to was the editor of a couple of journals where all you did was look at data, is kind of belies. He kind of overlooks that fact. He was a peer reviewer himself, as it were.
I think he's not good at evaluating data.
That was almost as if we scripted it, John. Love that.
So when he says that some countries have good experience with ivermectin, that's just false. My understanding is that there's no evidence of any country who had
understanding.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, this is the trained hypnotist.
My understanding
he's hypnotized. You're right.
Yes. Oh wait,
I think it's already apparent.
Now, It gets much better.
He reads the New York Times, and next thing you know, he's like zoned out. Okay. This is very disappointing.
Yes, that's exactly what I said.
My understanding is that there's no evidence of any country who had any success with ivermectin. So one of his biggest claims based on data, I think, is credibly falsified. And so then you have to say to yourself, all right, but what does that say about the rest of the things he says?
So here Scott brings up the Gell-Mann theory. Gell-Mann, I think it's actually amnesia theory, where if you read the newspaper and you see something that you absolutely are an expert in and it's completely wrong, people will ignore the fact that the rest of the paper is probably bullcrap too. So everything may be wrong. So he's telling us that because McCullough made this huge gaffe by saying ivermectin works, which Scott clearly disputes, that means you really got to question everything everything the guy says from there on out.
Credibly falsified.
But by the way, his use of that, I know that theory, and it does apply. But when your basic premise is wrong,
well, then
you project the wrongness on everything else. You're the one that's wrong on everything.
He, in fact, is in the Gell-Mann amnesia theory himself. You're absolutely right.
And so then you have to say to yourself, all right, but what does that say about the rest of the things he says? So what about the rest of it? Now, of course, if you get some big thing wrong, that should make the observer say, oh, okay, if something big got wrong, yeah. Those of you who are naming countries, those have all been debunked. You can just Google it. Just Google, did this country, whichever country you think had a good experience.
Here's Scott's debunking. Just Google it.
Say, did they have a good experience with ivermectin or some Google term like that? You'll see all the debunks. They'll pop right up. There's no data to support any of that.
Now that's disappointing, because that means Mr. Research is not really doing the right research. And if he trusts Google, is it possible? I'm just throwing something out there that maybe Google suppresses some of these things. I don't know. Just possibility. But again, reminder, when it comes to mass formation and theories of hysteria and hypnosis and psychosis, Scott Adams is your man.
So Dr. McCullough talked about some other experts' concept of mass formation psychosis. How many of you heard that argument?
Yep, I have.
That we're experiencing a mass formation psychosis. And the idea is that much like what would explain the rise of Nazi Germany, that if a certain set of situations are in place, you end up where we are.
Okay, got to stop it right there. This is where Scott went completely wrong. So he did not research the theory. He did not research what Professor DeSmet says. Professor DeSmet, in fact, never said this is how you get a Nazi regime. He said this mass formation, this psychosis, can lead to Nazi regime, and he mentioned several other professors who corroborated that in peer-to-peer reviewed research. He wasn't saying this mass formation gives you Hitler. So again, Scott, sorry, you should have done a little more work.
You end up where we are.
But, why would you do that?
And a lot of people have been promoting that as a very smart representation of what's happened and a good filter to understand everything. My opinion is it's complete bullshit. Okay? And this is sort of my area.
This is sort of my wheelhouse.
As I say too often, I'm a trained hypnotist. I've been studying persuasion all my life. I write about persuasion all the time. So in terms of people who are hypnotists and trained in persuasion, I'm not so sure they see it this way, but I can't speak for anybody else. I'll just talk to about myself.
Which is what you're really good at. Keep talking about yourself. So there it is. He had to throw it out there. Luckily, he said, as I say too often, I'm a trained hypnotist. So this got in the way of his vision. Again, we know he's a great hypnotist, but it got in the way. And then, this is typical Scott Adams. I've analyzed how he does it. He threw in the Nazi bit just to fuck with you.
So I'll walk through some of the assumptions that go into mass formation psychosis, and let's see how many of these apply. Oh, before I do that, here's the other tell that is bullshit. If you didn't catch this one, you should feel ashamed of yourself. If you read about the mass formation hysteria idea and you didn't catch this obvious tell that the whole thing is bullshit, you should feel bad for yourself when I tell you what it is. The biggest part of this is it's being compared to Nazi Germany and Hitler. Are we done? Are we done here?
No, we're not, because that is not the theory.
I never heard that. He's the one who compared it to Nazi Germany and Hitler. That's the tell. That was his tell, and now he's berating you for not noticing his tell.
I love this.
That's all you had to know. If I just told you
one
one
that's all we have to know. So what he's done is he's dropped a Hitler bomb in there, which is a tell that it's all bullshit what he is saying.
Thank you.
Hey, there's somebody who's got a theory of why we're drifting into a Hitler-like situation. That's all you know. You don't even know what the theory is. Do you believe it? No, the answer is you shouldn't, because that's a gigantic flag that is bullshit. In other words, it's a gigantic flag that somebody is reasoning backwards. They're saying, hey, we're drifting into a dictatorship. Let me come up with a theory that explains it.
In fact, the professor specifically said totalitarian regime, not dictatorship. Specifically went out of his way to say that. And he said, on top of that, totalitarian regimes happens because the leaders become, they're also in the mass formation, the leaders being politicians, etc. They become completely micro-focused and myopic, and they really go out of control. But, to say that it's a dictator, no, you need a guy for that. And thank you for pointing out that he is providing the tell that what he is about to say is bullshit. I don't know if it's because he's underinformed, likely, or because he wants to misinform. That would be disappointing. So, let's go through his.
He's like he picked up on that Substack column I wrote a long time ago on mass hysteria.
Oh yeah, he did.
And he's laughed it off. And you have to remember he's also bought into the vaccine.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
In a big way. And so now he's like resisting the possibility, because it would be beyond his comprehension. I think it would be really tough for him to have gone through this vaccine.
I know he got duped.
Especially since it's a risky proposition.
And I know he got duped.
To know he got duped.
Yeah. He can't handle the idea that he would have been duped.
So he is now fighting it. And so he's actually going deeper.
Yes, he is in fact one of the leaders in the mass formation who goes all in, becomes more myopic and micro-focused. So
and the ivermectin is his tell.
Yes.
Because everything he said about ivermectin is nonsense.
Oh, yeah. Well.
And by Googling it, that's going to do something.
That's quite disappointing. Okay, so I'll just reiterate briefly. You have 4 criteria for mass formation hysteria to take place. You need people already need to be disappointed and disillusioned. And the professor said, look at how many SSRIs people are taking. And then he also said Bullshit Jobs book was a good example, which you push back on. But the SSRIs, there's a lot of depression going on. Then you need extreme isolation, which is the isolation of the lockdown. Then you need the free-floating anxieties and the free-floating anxieties of death, or whatever that subset was. All of these are here because you have a virus. It's going to kill you. You're locked down. You're socially isolated. And the point is, the mass formation occurs at the moment the social isolation is broken overnight, and they say, we're all in it together if we wear a mask. We're all in together if we wear 2 masks, 3 masks, if we get a shot, if we get a second shot, if we get a booster. That's the moment the mass formation takes place, Scott Adams. Do your homework.
So here's what the claim is for mass formation psychosis. You should know about it because there's something to learn here. All right, number one.
Yeah.
Of the 4 things that could cause that situation.
See, this is already the point. He didn't read it. Those 4 things don't cause the situation. Those are the 4 requirements.
A lack of social bonding, social isolation, and we would agree that there's more social isolation now, right? But how do you measure social isolation? On my phone, I communicate with more people than I've ever communicated at any time until I got a smartphone every day. I have more meaningful communications with more people today and during the pandemic than at any time in my life.
Yeah, but Scott, you live in a $20 million mansion with some hot wife you've hypnotized. You don't live in a 2-bedroom apartment with 3 kids who are home for school. You're trying to simultaneously do a Zoom call with work. You think that's going to be a little different situation, you elitist?
But not in person. But I have more communication on more richer topics than I ever would just in person. So do we have a lack of social bonding? Yes, in person. But social isolation? I don't know that applies in the internet age, does it?
Yeah, I think biology is still a thing. Your thoughts, Dr. Dvorak?
It's funny. No, you're doing a good job of a deconstruction. You're deconstructing
debunking the
personality.
debunker.
It's interesting.
Well, this is important to put that into context. He's a very wealthy man. He is rarely challenged. The former president loved him. I'm envious of that. I would have loved to be in the White House.
Took
Yeah,
a picture with him.
as the master hypnotist and knowledge of all. Now he's going to do the second one, which he talked about, the depression.
How about the second one? Seeing life as meaningless, purposelessness, and senseless. Is there more of that than there ever was? Do we see life as purposeless and senseless more than any human did in the past?
See, he thinks that it has to be that you feel it's more senseless, or all of a sudden it feels senseless. He missed the entire point. Yes, that's the point. We are senseless all the time. You're making the argument, Scott.
Maybe, because there's less religion, right? Religion.
It's because of religion. Okay.
Has decreased. And people are not just assigned a purpose of life where you have to work hard or die. A lot of us don't have to work hard or die. So that usually, is a way to focus your purpose. I just got to stay alive, feed my family.
Yeah, again, Scott, you don't have to work or die. You really don't. Some people might be a little more dire.
So yeah, I would say we maybe have drifted into more meaningless, purposeless existence, but we always had a lot of it, didn't we?
That's the point. Exactly the point. On to the final ones.
How about this? Widespread free-floating anxiety and free-floating discontent. Again, did the pandemic make it worse? Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't have any data to support that. But I thought everybody always had free-floating anxiety and free-floating discontent. When did that ever turn off? I don't remember any time we didn't have that. How about...
Now, by the way, that technique he used there to just push it off, is really cold-blooded. The fact is that the media has been hounding the public.
Death numbers on the sidebar continuously,
and the time and the exact these clips I just played about Omicron, which is a harmless cold, which is now being used to threaten people. This has been pumped up, and I don't know that he hasn't noticed this. He has to have noticed it, but he's pushing. He's just going meh.
Yeah,
is really is a sad. Analysis on his part to just go meh. It's happened. This is nothing new. He's like the off with their heads queen, in the Alice in Wonderland.
the Red Queen, yes,
the Red Queen, yes.
Well, I thought everybody always had free floating anxiety and free floating discontent.
And he's got that little chuckle in there.
Yeah.
The little tell chuckle.
Yeah, because what would he be telling?
And what's he laughing about? What's so funny about free-floating anxiety and the giant population?
I know. Because he has severe free-floating anxiety of this virus. He himself is extremely
Otherwise he
paranoid.
wouldn't have rushed out to get the vaccine and probably got
He
the
doesn't
booster
go
already.
out at all. He stays in his house. He says it himself. So yeah, that's the tell. He's laughing because like, oh man, I have severe free-floating anxieties. I don't want to die from this. I have respiratory issues. Yes, he does.
Well, I thought everybody always had free-floating anxiety and free-floating discontent. When did that ever turn off? I don't remember any time we didn't have that. How about widespread free-floating frustration and aggression? Oh, that's different. No, it's not. That's not different.
So it's so sad because he doesn't realize that, and in fact, he probably would, if he knew the true theory and done a little bit of work and wasn't so pompous, he would see that all the things were set perfectly in stage and ready to go. All you need is a little tip, just a little push with a little bit of, he would probably be thinking a little bit more about, hey, was this bullcrap? Was this done intentionally? Is this something that might have been released? Because when you see all these things set up perfectly, and then, of course, he is a true mask believer. He believes that a mask will even if it's 0.02%, he believes that that's better than not 0.02%. So we'll wrap it up. Again, he misunderstands the whole thesis and ends this way.
So here's my take. All four of these things are baseline. They're just baseline everyday human existence. Here's what I think caused Nazi Germany. People don't like to blame themselves for their problems. They like to have something else to blame or somebody. Hitler was really good at focusing.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, remember.
What is the point of jumping to Nazi Germany? It's got nothing to do with Nazi Germany.
Because he believes, because he didn't do the research, that the tell of the whole theory, which he said at the beginning, is, the minute they bring up Nazis, no. Well, listen, it's 30 seconds. Listen, he'll finish it off.
Nazi Germany. People don't like to blame themselves for their problems. They like to have something else to blame or somebody. Hitler was really good at focusing their thoughts into that thing. And then people got in line because people will do anything that they're told. You don't really need a big old mass formation psychosis.
Him.
If you have an
They'll
actual...
do anything they're told. Take the shot.
Hold on.
You don't really need a big old mass formation psychosis if you have an actual Hitler. So the situation was, people wanted something to focus on that was sort of made them feel good, I guess.
That's so this is where he loses it completely. That's exactly how mass formation works. When you have something to feel good about. Now, if you go back, Hitler didn't just pop up, Scott Adams. Hitler came out of a mass formation. Look at the situation in Weimar Republic before World War II, before the rise of the National Socialist Party. Look at the situation. You can see that there were very, very similar scenario. It's a very similar scenario to this mass formation. And they went through all this. Well, actually, we skipped a few steps here. We didn't really break all the unvaccinated shop owners' windows yet. We spray painted them. But we went straight to, you're dirty, and next step is the shower. And that's when a Hitler person can rise up very easily and slide right into it. Disappointing.
It's interesting because here's my prediction. Scott will snap out of it. And at some point, probably in 2022, he's going to admit that taking the shot was probably not a good idea. Yeah, and then he's going to be irked about it. And when he's irked, he's very
funny.
Productive. And he's funnier.
He gets funny when he's irked.
There was nothing funny about that, what he just did. It was kind of like, oh, okay.
Oh, man.
Yeah, well,
so
it happens. It's just like you're the most susceptible sales guy. The most susceptible to sales is a sales guy.
Yes.
So the most susceptible to hypnosis is a hypnotist.
Yeah. Yeah. Quite astounding. But since we're all over the mass formation, we might have been one of the first ones to talk about it. Actually pull it into programming instead of just being out there. I felt we had to defend it a little bit because Scott Adams is very, very Popular guy, a lot, but well viewed.
He's more popular than we are.
Well viewed. So I want to make sure that we put it out there. Now, I do kind of think I know where this is all leading with the Omicron.
I have 3 more clips.
Oh, sure. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, please, let's go. Let's do it.
First of all, I want to get to the vaccine dose, the 3 dose, where the 2 doses, the
three is the new 2.
This is kind of along those lines, and this is this is under the clip vaccine. I spelled vaccine with a Q. Vaccine 3 dose for 5-year-olds.
Today, a new setback for families with kids 5 and under. Pfizer reporting some disappointing data from a trial that could delay the shot even further. CNBC's Meg Terrell covers medicine for us and science. Meg, what happened here?
Yeah, Shep, Pfizer's been testing much lower doses of its vaccines for kids under 5, 2 doses of 3 micrograms each, compared with 10 micrograms for kids 5 to 11 and 30 for those 12 and older and adults. But the company disclosed today that doesn't appear to be enough for kids ages 2 to 4. The immune response they saw with 2 doses didn't stack up with the comparison group of teens and young adults. While they did see strong results in even younger ages, 6 to 24 months, Pfizer's now adding a 3rd dose to the series to see if that can provide high levels of protection across the board. The 3rd dose will be given at least 2 months after the 2nd. And Pfizer says if the 3-dose study is successful, it plans to ask the FDA for clearance in the first half of 2022. That's a delay of a couple months from what many in the public health world and parents were hoping for. The company is also testing 3rd doses in all other age groups up through 17, suggesting the additional dose will provide stronger protection against variants, including Omicron. Perhaps the first steps to making this a 3-dose vaccine across the board.
Yes.
3.
Of course. This is no surprise. There's no uptake. I think the 5 to 11-year-olds, I believe the numbers are closer to like 15%.
Well, the uptake, the way they present it, and I feel bad about Shep Smith doing it this way because he's all in.
Oh, poor Shep.
Is, the parents are so irked that they can't get their 3-year-old a shot. I don't know that the parents are that irked, are they?
I'm not hearing it, but I don't hang out with parents of young kids that much.
Well, I have 2, Jesse and JC are parents of a 4-year-old, and they're not anxious to get him a shot at all.
Well, they're also not in the mass formation. Or are they?
Well, they might be, but not in that mass formation.
Yeah, they're in the 40%.
So let's go with, now here's 2 more clips. This is COVID. This is back to COVID as opposed to Omicron, sorry. COVID in New York.
COVID spread.
Live from CNBC. The facts, the truth, the news with Shepard Smith.
Good evening. The situations playing out in parts of our country right now are both jarring and familiar.
Jarring.
COVID is spreading fast, and hospitalizations are rising.
Ooh, do you think it's time to send the hospital ships out again? That would be so
they just remain empty. They cost too much money to move.
The virus once again disrupting everything from live performances to restaurants to schools and sports. The NFL announced today it's postponing 3 games this weekend as the league deals with an outbreak among players. Similar story in college hoops. 2 of the top-ranked teams in the nation, Duke and UCLA, both scrapping games from their schedule. In New York City, another popular tourist attraction canceled. Just last hour, Radio City announced the Rockettes nixed all of their shows for the remainder of the season.
Oh, no.
The new wave of infections.
By the way, this destroys so much in New York. New York Christmas time, the Rockettes. Are you kidding me? This is just burning the city.
All of their shows for the remainder of the season. The new wave of infections also taking a toll on restaurants and bars in the big city. At least a dozen temporarily closed this week. Today, the New York governor, Kathy Hochul, said New York State recorded its highest number of cases since the pandemic began. Close to 21,000, and the majority of them still the Delta variant. But the CDC director warns Omicron will become the most dominant strain in the U.S. in a matter of weeks. Dr. Rochelle Walensky says it reinforces the need for more Americans to get vaccinated and boosted.
We've seen cases of Omicron among those who are both vaccinated and boosted, and we believe these cases are milder or asymptomatic because of vaccine protection.
This is my favorite.
This is the same ploy used by the climate change people.
Yep.
It's snowing out. How's that global warming? No, this global warming is causing the snow.
Yes.
Oh, okay. It's hot out. Oh, that's global warming. Yeah, see, it's hot out. It's so hot you can tell it's global warming. It has to be. Oh, there's no flooding going on. Oh, that's because of there's always some bull crap. It was always global warming, whatever it is. But, now everything's circling around the vaccine. Well, it's so transparent. It's just garbage.
Well, perhaps our health minister, the CDC director, should talk to the UK's health minister because he doesn't know. He's like, we have no data. She knows. It's the boosters, the vaccines. Hello. Or maybe he didn't get the call from Pfizer yet. He will. He will. He will.
You have data here you might be interested
you might be interested in some of this data.
The data sheet is inside this fat wallet. Here, take the wallet. You can keep it.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a little thing, yeah.
Is that the whole clip?
Yeah.
Okay, now we have my last one. This one here, actually, we're introducing some information.
Yeah, I got 2 follow-ons for this. You're absolutely right.
This is a new term, and they're going to try to work this into the situation as we try to ease. We're still trying to ease out of this mess, and this may be one of the ways they're going to at least come up with a term, an acceptable term that makes things work better. Let's try this COVID.
It's marketing.
We now have new data and updated CDC guidance showing the effectiveness of an approach called Test to Stay, which involves frequent rapid testing of students at least 2 times per week and robust contact tracing. The idea is that with frequent testing, even kids who may have been exposed do not need to quarantine as long as they test negative. The second part is a partnership with teachers' unions to get as many teachers boosted as possible. Omicron is already prompting some school closures, though, and this is before it truly crashes ashore here. One of the new CDC studies that the CDC director cited is based on 90 schools in Lake County, Illinois, and it estimated that Test to Stay prevented more than 8,000 missed school days. But some schools are already closing with a rise in COVID positivity. I've also interviewed school officials about Test to Stay, and it basically requires a lot of manpower, requiring a lot of supplies and staffing that these schools just don't have. Yet they are especially vulnerable given their vaccination rates. Just 18% of kids age 5 to 11 have had at least one shot. That's 61% of those aged 12 to 17 who've had a single dose.
I'm not crazy about it, but it'll do for now. Test to stay. It doesn't flow. It's like test to stay. It's if you're
if our jingle master can come up with something, it might work.
The problem is that for the millennials, they got to drop at least one of those T's. I don't know which one to drop. S to A. So it's
no. I think you dropping one of them automatically in the term test to stay.
Test to stay. Test to stay.
The second T in test is dropped automatically by everybody when you say test to.
Test to stay. Test to stay. Well,
test to stay. Test to stay. Test to stay. It sounds like Teetsy Fly. Teetsy Fly. Test to stay. Test to stay. I think it can work as a jingle.
So the Keeper and I had dinner Friday night with new friends. They are older millennials, early 30s, one 2-year-old daughter. They live in Dripping Springs. And what's interesting about them is they had and I'd known them a long time ago. I think I spoke to him. They had a business doing production for events. And so AV production, teleprompter, and it's a relatively small company. I think maybe 8 or 9 people. But then they have, they hire local talent. So they'll send out people who will manage everything, and they hire the AV guys, and very successful business, which of course stopped overnight with COVID. And she decided, as a real red-blooded American, true Texan from North Texas, said, I'm not going to let this get me. So they converted overnight to a testing company. And they now test people at corporate events and board meetings, and they are doing stuff globally now. It's off the hook. So I got a little bit of insight. And I think the test to stay, you're right, it's the way out. the vaccines eventually, even though OSHA's ruling or the stay was overruled by a judge, this will go to the Supreme Court, and I think ultimately it'll be, no, you can't mandate vaccines. You can't make it a requirement to work in the manner that you're doing. It'll probably get there. So we still need to have the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to still have people scanning QR codes and letting us know where they are and getting the concept of the Freedom Passport. So it'll be much easier for everybody if it's not about a vaccine, but you have to have a test. And the test will be probably Abbott Labs. It's the tests now that are in Walmart and all the big box stores, about between $14 and $20, depending on where you are. And eMed, from one of our producers here, has partnered with Abbott, maker of the Binax Now, this is what's called rapid test, and offering online supervision and verification of the test. This fills a need because home tests have been potentially problematic because people sometimes don't do them right, or no, people are cheating. So these will be proctored tests. It'll be telemedicine. You're like, hey, it's time for my test. It'll take you 5 minutes. You're on the app. Bada-bada-bum, snip, swab, good. You're good to go. It's not about your health or anyone else's health. It's making sure you have the Freedom Passport and you understand that you are now tracked and controlled. And I have 2 clips, I think, that show us that this is where we're headed.
According to Politico, the Biden administration now privately warning COVID-19 test makers and labs that the demand for tests could soon double or triple. Currently in the U.S., 1.6 million tests are used daily, but Health and Human Services now projects the country will need a lot more fast. The HHS model showing 3 to 5 million daily tests will be needed by January or February. All of this driven by the more transmissible Omicron variant, which they predict will become the dominant strain here in just a month.
So I'm waiting for someone to stand up and say I can fill the void because regular old tests may not work.
I want to refer to Dr. Fauci, who has mentioned a limited number of PCR tests don't catch the variant. So to what extent, in your view, is this reason for concern?
So that alone, there is a little bit of a reason concern there, because as we've seen these reports of people testing negative, then going to a gathering, and they're winding up testing positive later on from the Omicron variant, or for someone who said, hey, I tested negative, I should be okay. That is something that we're going to get more real-time data analysis of. But even if we look at testing, if you're taking multiple tests, you should say, like, hey, I have a good chance of catching a positive test if I was exposed. But right now, Deirdre, we're looking at about 1.7 million tests a day in the United States. With modeling projected, we need to double, if not triple, that amount as we head into a winter surge.
So there's the backup from ABC repeating the same talking points. We need to triple. We're not going to have enough. There will be, I think we'll see the government say, okay, you can do it just with testing. It'll be the vaccine. I think everyone will have to show the testing. And we don't have the right test. You know who's going to stand up. I've been waiting for him any day now. Bill Gates, with his new test equipment acquisition that he bought with George Soros, will have the solution for us. We just have to wait, probably after Christmas. Testing to stay. I think testing to stay it's not a great slogan, but I think it definitely
is. Test to stay.
Test to stay. Test to stay. Yes. And that'll be super fun. Everyone gets a passport.
Nuts.
Yeah, nuts is right. Let's see. This is kind of funny just to wrap this all up.
By the way, I should mention there was a couple of good columns floating around on Substack that different people wrote about. Why don't they just admit it? These vaccines don't work.
Very hard.
Which, of course, we've been saying since February.
Very hard for people to believe that. This is kind of funny. The House COVID committee. Did you know we had a COVID committee?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, we have a COVID committee.
It would surprise me if we didn't, but
they released their it's the select subcommittee on the coronavirus crisis, and they released their report with their findings of the crisis. And I just this is a bipartisan subcommittee. I just want to tell you who's on it. The The chairman is James Clyburn, blowhard Democrat, I think we can say. Maxine Waters, even blower harder.
The worst.
Carolyn B. Maloney from New York.
Yeah, another one.
Velazquez, Nydia Velazquez, also from New York. I'm not familiar with her, but she looks like a card. And Bill Foster from Illinois. Oh, and then my favorite, Jamie Raskin. Jamie Raskin, he belongs on there, along with Raja Krishnamurti. All assholes when they're asking questions. So on the Republican side, there's Steve Scalise. That's a heavy hitter. He is the ranking member. Jim Jordan, certainly not a guy who would pull any punches. Mark Green, MD, he's from Tennessee.
The actual doctor.
Nicole Maliotakis from New York. I'm not familiar with her.
Yeah.
And Miller Meeks from Iowa. There's at least 3 on the Republican side who wouldn't just stand for stuff, I think. So, why don't we just open up the full report itself? I'll just give you a few highlights. So this is it's the year-end staff report. More effective, more efficient, more equitable, overseeing and improving an ongoing pandemic response. So they have the executive summary. Which is, they do think there's a number of things that we could do better, but pretty much everything that went wrong during the pandemic, and I mean, let's just start with part 1, section A. The Trump administration was responsible for a series of critical failures that undermined the nation's ability to respond effectively to the coronavirus pandemic.
We can see which side of the aisle put this together.
The Trump administration's persistent political interference in the pandemic response contributed
By the way, I would like to see what the vote was on the final report being approved. I'll bet you it was right along party lines. This is just a Democrat piece of crap.
The whole thing is everything was
and
Trump.
They start off with Trump? Hey.
No, the whole thing.
The whole
thing is Trump. Every single piece. Purposefully weakened CDC's testing guidance, instructed CDC career scientists to destroy evidence, pressured the Food and Drug Administration to authorize ineffective treatments, championed a dangerous herd immunity strategy, used personal email accounts to conduct official business, neglected the pandemic response to focus on the 2020 election, and big lie. I mean,
What?
That was a good one, wasn't it?
Wow.
Documents obtained by the Select Subcommittee revealed that Trump administration officials allowed the pandemic response to take a back seat in the fall of 2020 to focus instead on the presidential election and promoting former President Trump's big lie that the capital B, capital L, that the election results were fraudulent. Dr. Birx also informed the Select Subcommittee that Trump White House officials were actively campaigning for the presidential election and that the narrow focus on campaigning took people's time away from and distracted them away from the pandemic. End of quote. So let's see what else we could find that maybe wasn't reported on when it comes to, like secret little pieces of information being sent back and forth. Oh, here it is. From the email, these are actually FOIA'd emails. Francis Collins, Anthony Fauci's boss, on October 8, 2020. Subject, Great Barrington Declaration. Hi, Tony and Cliff. See globaldeclaration.org. The proposal from the 3 fringe epidemiologists who met with the secretary seems to be getting a lot of attention, and even a co-signature from Nobel Prize winner Mike Leavitt at Stanford. There needs to be a quick and devastating published takedown of its premise. I don't see anything like that online yet. Is it underway? I'd say that's pretty damning.
That's pretty damning. That is damning.
Yeah, so I'm sure it will be reported tonight.
Yeah, of course not. There was something in there about using private email. This reminds me of a story that just came out. It's not on the topic, but it brings up this private email thing because this is a ridiculous fine that J.P. Morgan just paid. I was looking at the $200 million fine. I'm thinking, why are they getting fined? What's the deal? Yeah. So I have a clip, and this explains it.
America's largest bank slapped with a huge penalty. And that's what's topping CNBC's On the Money. J.P. Morgan Chase hit with a $200 million fine. The reason? Federal regulators say the bank failed to track work-related communications on its employees' personal devices. Staff members of its securities division discussed company business over text and email, bypassing strict records-keeping laws. Unapproved communications date back to at least 2015. Federal law requires financial firms to keep detailed records of electronic messages.
But I guess Hillary could do it. Yeah. And she actually works for the government. Worked for the government, and she was doing the exact same thing. Where was her $200 million fine? Why are they throwing a big fine on a private company like this for record keeping because of some regulations that they don't do anything about the public sector doing the same thing?
Well, most people...
I just found this to be weird.
Yeah, most people like life, and when you do that to Hillary Clinton, sometimes it gets shortened. So I think that there's like, no, I'm just going to let her go.
That's what it apparently looks like, yes.
In the UK, in order to explain some of the weird issues that people may have medically, which, as you know, are not related to the vaccine, these are not because of the juice, people. No, it is possible there's a festive allergy that can aggravate the lungs and trigger asthma attacks, which is called Christmas tree syndrome. So if you have suddenly weird things, it's Christmas tree syndrome or post-pandemic stress syndrome or anything but something that could happen from the vaccine. And I do have one final adverse reaction that was new. Tina found this. She follows a lot of functional medicine people on online, and there's this whole group of women who have been vaccinated, who their hair is falling out. They feel like they're on fire from the inside. And but it's bad. I mean, of course, these are just videos that people are posting, but they pointed to a paper from the NIH, PubMed Central, published March 4th, 2021, RRP, COVID-19 vaccine-induced radiation recall phenomenon.
What the heck?
Yeah, radiation recall phenomenon is a late-effect acute skin reaction associated with therapeutic irradiation triggered by something other than radiation. It usually appears more than 1 week after
a flashback for people who used to take LSD a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And they've researched and they see that the COVID-19 vaccine in some cases triggers this RRP. And there was even one woman posted that her granny, who was dying in her arms in 96, and she had been juiced, and a drop of sweat fell on her arm, and that gave her a burn.
Huh.
Yeah.
That reminds me of there's a phenomenon that people would almost recognize.
This is a show favorite. I know what's coming.
I don't know what you do.
I do.
But there is a cute little exhibit at the Exploratorium in San Francisco. And it is and you can do this at home. You can make one of these things. It's a series of coils, copper or even aluminum tubes. And they're twisted around in a circle, so there's like a row of them. And the one on the left is slightly warm, and the one on the right is slightly cold, and then next to slightly warm, next to slightly cold, next to slightly warm, next to slightly cold. And that whole thing is that's the temperature change, very minor temperature change from one to the other. You can try all you want to put your hand down on it or touch it. It feels like it's going to burn your hand off. It's just a weird phenomenon.
Because of the extreme differences in each coil?
It shorts out your nervous system when you put your hand down on it, your nervous system doesn't know what to think, and you get the feeling of an intense burn.
Wow.
And once you experience this with this little device, and you can even try to push your hand on it, it's impossible. Your body just jerks your hand back. Now this exhibit is worth the price of admission at the Exploratorium. But you will run into situations in the kitchen where there'll be something that's warm and something cold next to each other, and you will have the same. It'll happen in real life, just coincidentally around the house. Every so often, you'll think oh shit, and you'll pull back, and this happens constantly. Well, not constantly, about once every month or two, you'll have this effect. But that's what the effect is from. The location between warm and cold next to each other in a series. And if you put your hand in and get both senses at the same time, you react weirdly. That's what it brought to mind when the drop of sweat hit this woman. Something's up with it's a nervous system short out.
Well, you are correct that I thought you were going to talk about something else. This I had not heard. This is a new one, a new story. You never cease to amaze me, darling. I thought you were going to bring up spontaneous human combustion. That's my favorite topic.
No, I don't. This has got nothing to do with spontaneous. I can talk about spontaneous human combustion, but no, not today.
I love those stories. It's nothing but some shoes left.
Yeah, usually.
All right, with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage. Say in the morning to you, the man who put the C in the Christmas lockdown. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. John C. Dvorak.
Well, in the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. In the morning, all ships with sea boots on the ground, feeding the air subs in the water, and all the daemons and the knights out there.
In the morning, to all the trolls we got hanging out in the troll room at trollroom.io. That is where you can troll along. It's a chat room. That's all it is. It's not fancy. In fact, it's very not fancy. But you can listen to the live stream of this show, and many of those Sunday, most of the Sundays live now these days. In fact, it's a kind of a live stream. NoAgendaStream.com. Oops, confused. The same thing. You get the same thing at trollroom.io. Let's see how many trolls are in there today with us. Hold on a second.
Troll count.
All right, trolls. Oh, look at them scurrying. Ooh, I like the one with the pink hair. 2,413. Not bad for a Sunday. That's almost 2,500 trolls. It's a troll convention. All right, trolls. Good to have you here. You can also follow us at noagendasocial.com. It's Adam at noagendasocial.com, John C. Dvorak at noagendasocial.com. Those are not email addresses. Those are ways that you can follow us on the Fediverse. So you just need to have an account on a Mastodon server anywhere. In fact, if you're in the Netherlands, you might want to check out noagendasocial.nl. So they've set up their own little Mastodon so they can talk mainly in Dutch and do their things, but they can follow along the conversation. It can flow both ways. That's how the distributed future of social media looks, and we're already living it. That is noagendasocial.com. Now, thanks to our artist who brought us the artwork for episode 1408, we titled this Booster Blitz. It was interesting as we were choosing the art. There was one piece of art there that portrayed Booster Blitz in a glam-like setting, which you immediately rejected, saying that's not what the Ramones wore at all, which of course is not what the Ramones wore. But I think the intent there was from Ballroom Blitz, which came from The Sweet, which was a big 70s glam band. However, there was a better one out there, a very, very, very polarizing image. I cannot tell you how happy I am to see a piece of art evoke so much emotion. This was the picture.
I knew this would happen, by the way.
Well, it was.
In fact, I thought we might even get banned from Twitter or have it.
We got a note. We got tagged. We got tagged. Here it is.
Somebody turned us in. Some fink, some Nazi fink turned us in.
We put a warrant here. This is it didn't get blocked. It was just a little label underneath the image. It says we put a warning message on the. So they told me We put a warning message on these tweets because they might have sensitive content like nudity, sexual content, violence, gore, or hateful symbols. We know we don't always get it right, so if you think we flagged your tweet by mistake, you can appeal the warning by clicking on each tweet. Keep in mind this doesn't guarantee it will be removed. And I thought to myself, they're right. I'm okay with this flag. It's just a flag. It's saying, hey, this could trigger you, even though it's right underneath the triggering part. Their algorithm, when someone reported it, their algorithm's thinking, oh, when you link to that, when you click on that image, that's when the bad stuff comes. No, it was the image itself. And this was a concentration camp. Was it Dachau, I think? I think it was Dachau that had...
it could have been Dachau. It was either that or it may have been...
Auschwitz?
It may have been Auschwitz.
I thought it was Dachau.
More than one of these camps had the sign.
So it's the gate. It's a sign over the gate. And the original sign is Arbeit macht frei, which means work gives you freedom. And Spook number 33, first win for him, one of the first submissions, changed that to Booster macht frei, which, by the way, if I had to argue with Twitter, I would say this is literally, Booster gives freedom is literally what politicians are saying around the world. Now, the addition of Welcome to California, that was kind of fun. I can see.
Nice touch.
Very nice touch. Just outstanding. Congratulations, Spook number 33, who also sent a note. He says, I can't believe that, I got this right off the bat. Because he had sent me a note about a week ago. He said, oh, is this where I send you art? I said, no, you got to register at No Agenda Art Generator. So he just did this, and boom. And he says, if a humble artist can request a shout-out, please give one for my two young and charismatic sons who live in Galicia, Spain. Their names are Sean and Hans.
Well, I don't know what you meant by he just did this, because Spook number 33 has done about 25 pieces.
Well, that's what he said.
Well, he's done pieces, and he's done plenty of pieces. And maybe that was his first for this day, because he does a couple of show.
Okay. Well,
he's got the one with you and the bald head. He did the one with the girl tied up over the box, which I liked a lot.
Maybe I misunderstood his email.
Yeah, he's done a bunch of pieces. He just hasn't been picked before. And he also is fairly new to the game, because he does art that shows the coronavirus with the spikes, which is banned from being picked. I will veto anyone who does that, because I think one of the keys of the art is that it has to be attractive. It can't be something that makes you cringe or want to get sick and throw up. Some people have sent stuff in like that, and that's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to put art that attracts you to the show, not makes you sick to your stomach.
In the Netherlands, this was a very active topic. There's been an ongoing situation where, I think we talked about this, that Thierry Baudet, who is he's in a party called the Forum for Democracy. They were really big a couple of years ago, and they got a little smaller in the most recent election, although there's still no government. Who knows what's going on there? But he had, whereas. So he's definitely right of center, and just like in the U.S., they're always making in Parliament, they're always making comparisons to the right and Hitler and all that. And then, of course, with the mandates and lockdowns, this guy on the right is saying, "Well, you guys are acting like Nazis and Hitler." Well, holy crap! The machinery had to stop. They took it to a judge, and the judge ruled he had to nuance how he speaks in Parliament, which to me is like, are you kidding? So you don't have freedom of speech in Parliament? And there's a fine in Germany. I think it's 25 euros a day. If you do anything with Holocaust compared to vaccines or mandates in any way, 25,000 euros per day, per infraction. The Netherlands, very similar. So I love this art. It was very radical, and I love that we got a warning label. It only drew more attention to it because that blue label in the timelines. Hey, what's that?
You probably get pulled over. You probably get if you go to Germany now, you're going to get whacked. Arrested.
I'm going to get whacked
and charged with $25,000 for that art. We didn't do the art.
Yes, but I twatted it. So, as you know, it's he who posted a tweet.
So the other art you like the one, the little girl, the cheesecake with the pig?
No, no. You like that was from the previous episode.
That was from,
like
the tours.
No, you like that. Don't shove that on me. I'll tell you what I did.
It wasn't that much for this particular. I mean, I used Roger Roundy did a little piece that was kind of that illegible. There's a term for this type of typesetting, which was done in the 60s. I kind of liked it. I used it for the newsletter.
Which piece was that?
Sick and tired of all this COVID crap.
Oh yeah, right.
It's definitely. And the rest of the pieces, we didn't have a lot of stuff.
Well, there was a lot of stuff. It just wasn't really.
There wasn't a lot of stuff to yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are doing multiple submissions.
And you know what? I'm going to put this out there because I've said this before. I'll say it again. If you're going to do a bunch of pieces that have the show number on them, do an alternative piece without the show number of the same art.
Yeah, definitely.
Because there's some evergreen stuff. Every once in a while, somebody does what's really a dynamite evergreen piece, but then they stick the show number on there, and there's no alternative piece. Now, I could take those pieces and drop them into Photoshop and scrape off the show number. That's not impossible. But I don't want to do that. I'll skip it because it's just like, an extra layer I've worked at, I don't want to do.
Well, we really appreciate the art that Spook Number 33 did. Well deserved. I think everybody. It's one of those moments of the time. Maybe without him even knowing it, how perfect that timing was for the polarizing moments on. I mean, the Dutch people are like, holy crap, Curry! I can't believe you're still on Twitter. Saying, yeah.
Yeah. See, this is another thing. This just shows you how pathetic things are out there when people say that to you. This was and I did have the same feelings about it when it was. Well,
because typically John starts looking in the art. I usually take a quick bathroom trip because we all know John goes to the bathroom during the meetups, and
no, we don't.
And I come back and you say, "Well, I know which one I want, and you're not going to like it." And
that's
what
I did. Yeah, I did pick that piece and say exactly that.
Yeah, and I hadn't even thought it through that far. But I'm so happy we did. So anyway, there you go. This is why value for value works. We got a big benefit on this one. And people bring their time, their talent, their treasure, and make everything better for the entire product. And this was perfect. We appreciate that. Appreciate the work that all of our producers do, our artists do. And you can check it all out at noagendaartgenerator.com or try out a new podcast app, newpodcastapps.com, Podcasting 2.0. It's saving podcasting. And on that note, Facebook just launched podcasting. Of course, they didn't talk to me. Why would they?
No.
And so now you can put your podcast in.
And we've immediately already been kicked off.
Well, yeah. So here's the thing that was interesting. I'm not on Facebook. I have no notion of submitting our podcast and agreeing to their terms, which always includes they can do whatever they want with your content. So no. And one of our producers put it on there. So one, don't do that. Two, the fact that Facebook allows you to do that without you being able to prove some ownership of that is a problem. And because And here's just one of the many reasons to show you why newpodcastapps.com is what you need. Yes, it was immediately suppressed, and the producer sent me all of the warnings. We had Jab Me Baby, or Jab Me Fauci, Jab Me Baby as end of show tune, which is completely legal for us to do under fair use parody. It pertained to education. It pertained to the topic. I will defend. I will defend that totally to the end of the earth. But of course, the algos sit there and pick it up. CBS Entertainment Copyright blocked your video because it may contain content they own. Your content is partially muted because it may contain music that belongs to Warner Music Group. CBS Live Events blocked your video because it may contain content they own. An ownership link for CBS Entertainment copyright was added to your video. So now they are going to get paid if there's any ads running in front of our podcast, which Facebook no doubtly will do if they aren't already. And the same for Warner Music Group Rights Management. Claimed your video because it may contain music. They claimed our video. They will get all advertising now. So please, take it off. Don't put it up there. And get off Facebook. Get off Facebook. Pathetic. It's pathetic. It's like a game. Let me see if I can...
Here's what really kind of should gall people. We have Zuckerberg, one of the richest men in the world, for doing nothing more than creating this product. We have billionaires left and right at that company. The company itself, for the shareholders, brings in billions and billions of dollars. Billions. Yet, they can't have anybody actually look at this stuff and do it by hand. They can't afford it. Oh, we can't afford it. We've got too many billions of dollars to go into the bank. We're just run an algo, run some system, let other people look at it, let whatever they tell us, we'll just do it because it's easier. Yeah. We can make even more money by doing a crappy job of monitoring this stuff.
Yep.
That's what bugs me. Cheap bastards.
What I don't... the thing that gets me is this... Maybe people don't understand they're doing it, but you're in a game, and the game is, let's see how far we can go, how radical can we, what can we post until Facebook takes it down, what can we get away with? I mean, that is 12-year-old shit, and grown people are doing this, and then they talk about, they took it down, the bastards, yeah, man, it's like you're playing, some video game like combat thing, and you're like discussing your wins. It's pathetic.
All right, let's get to our donors. Something more important,
please. I'll kick it off with Joe. Yeah, I'll kick it off with Joe, who's from Valparaiso, Indiana. I don't even know what this doesn't even sound like an Indiana name.
I think there is a Valparaiso, Indiana. Indiana's got some of the screwiest town names.
It's crazy.
From Gnawbone, my favorite, to a whole slew of other ones.
Well, my wife was born and bred in Indiana, so I've never heard of this. Anyway, Joe contributes $556.45. There might be something in there that explains this number, and he has a couple of jingles here. He wants a de-douching right off the bat. Happy to do it.
You've been de-douched.
And request Sleepy Joe, Obama, You Might Die, Fauci Wheeze, and Kamala Laughing. And please add me to the birthday list for the 21st. Done. Couldn't think of a better way to celebrate my 36th trip around the sun than to become an executive producer for the best podcast in the universe. This Freedom Seed donation is but a fraction of the value I've received after hearing about a show from Adam's first appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience. And normally I would skip an episode
Rogan donation.
Normally I would skip an episode with an ex-MTV VJ I've never heard of. But I'm sure glad I didn't. I haven't missed a show since. You two have undoubtedly, this is how people think, there's some washed up MTV VJ. Next. I'm glad I didn't. I haven't missed a show since. You two have undoubtedly helped keep me sane throughout the entirety of this pandemic. Thank you very much. John, speaking as a medical professional, I share your assessment of public health officials, especially the docs like Fauci. I assure you, they were not the most talented in their med schools. I suspect most are borderline incompetent and or too cowardly to try and make it in the real world. One more thing. Ooh. Yeah, this I love it when the doctors call each other out. One more thing. I've heard Rush say many times that millennials never want to pay for entertainment, so it surprises me how many of us douchebag millennials actually donate to the show. I guess some of the older ones aren't too bad. Merry Christmas. Well, yes, I think that has changed over time. I find that once...
we're not... Yes, but we're not...
We're not Rush Limbaugh's show.
Well, no, it's not. I'm saying Rush talked about specifically millennials not wanting to pay for entertainment. This show is more than entertainment. It has an entertainment element.
No, but people.
And I will say, my millennials.
My millennials.
they constantly go to the movies. They pay for a lot of entertainment, and then once in a while, they'll notice that I have, because I can't find it available for sale, I'll have maybe a bootleg copy of an obscure song written in the 1920s, and they will scold me for that. So I don't buy into that. Dad, you should pay for that. You should pay for that.
Our millennial producers are not your typical millennials. That is the answer. And since you asked,
that's in there
for such short jingles, I do have a little mini supercut of the Kamala laugh you requested.
Here we go.
You might die.
Poor hubby. Poor hubby.
No.
That's all she does. Wow. That was sickening. One more.
Worse than Hillary.
No kidding.
He knows how to sell right there. Okay.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, exactly.
So, she's still got a sense of humor. Right?
You've got karma.
So I didn't get a clip of this, but you probably saw it. I mean, I don't know if you have a clip.
Oh, I do. I have a deconstruction of it. You're talking about with Charlemagne?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a deconstruction. We'll do it right after the donation.
Well, we'll talk about it later. But she was
She was not laughing on that one. We'll do it after.
She wasn't laughing. She was wagging her finger.
We'll do it after the donation.
And the reason I didn't clip it is because I thought the visuals were more important than what she said.
What's interesting is what the M5M showed and what happened before and after.
Yeah, it's actually, what happened before is quite good. Okay, onward with Wouter van Diepen.
Wouter
van Diepen.
Wouter van Diepen. Very good.
Wouter van Diepen in Amsterdam, Netherlands, $500. I can find no note from him. You may have one because he would have sent it to you because you're a fellow Dutchman.
It wasn't on the. That is strange. No, I don't think. Let me just double check for one more second. Why don't you read the next one and I'll.
All right, the next one I do have a note from. And this is Dennis Price, who came in from Pine Grove, California, with 409, which was the special donation. He's the only one
who picked up on the promotion.
That picked up on the promotion. And the thing is that, I don't know, it wasn't the world's greatest promotion. Somebody suggested I do it. And he's the only one who liked it.
Who suggested
it? I had a lecture in the newsletter about the 409.
Did you ever own a Chevy 409?
God, no. I was a Ford guy.
So who suggested this brilliant idea?
One of our producers sent in a note, say, hey, 409, you might find some old farts that, remember the 409. And, nobody.
Yeah. Well, there it is. Dennis, you're the fart.
Dennis, you're the fart. Here we go. I have to read his whole note because it's actually educational. It's not really that long either. You hit a nerve this time, John. 409 donation on the way. No jingles or mention unless you want to cut my lengthy email down to size. It's not that long, and so I mentioned him anyway. Here we go. I went to Old Hayward High, which is a school I'm familiar with since I was down in Newark at the time. And Hayward High was a fabulous high school in Hayward where it was like one of these monumental places. It looked like, Washington Monument. It had the big marble columns, beautiful school from a distance. And then they tore it down around 1995 and put up a piece of crap. A bunch of lean-tos. I went to Old Hayward High and was in the ag program. Hayward High had several shop classes. I was talking about in the newsletter about the shop.
Right, and home economics and stuff, yep.
Yeah, home ec, auto shop, wood shop, metal shop. They had all these shops. Hayward High had, and they don't do that anymore because they don't want kids to learn anything. They just want them to become Democrats. Hayward High had several shops, including auto and construction shop. We didn't have that at our schools. The construction shop built a complete small home, taking kids through all the trades. Then the home, kind of manufactured style, would be auctioned and then moved to the new owner's foundation, which shop kids also built. After graduation, the shop kids would slide into union apprentice programs, and by their early 20s would be journeyman trade persons. In my case, on the egg side, we had a farm shop, an egg shop, and a horticulture shop. Old Hayward High had beautiful student landscaping. We had 15-acre farm. This is in the suburbs, this school. Acre farm where we grew several crops and was a place for kids that didn't have room at home to have a project cow, a project sheep, pigs, or even chickens.
No.
Think about that in today's schools.
Yeah.
Now you're going to college.
That's right. Gender studies.
You're going to take gender studies. On the car side, I had a 59 white red Chevy Impala small block 283, then a 62 red Impala 409. And by the way, when you were in high school in this era,
no one even knows what you're talking about.
They don't now, but we all had cars like this.
Mm-hmm, sure.
And there was big parking lots around these schools for the cars. Huge parking lots because every kid had a car. And we were talking about 16-year-olds. A 409 3/4-inch, 3/4 cam, solid lifters, the works. This was when car companies actually manufactured street-ready hot rods. I worked for my dad and paid him off myself after he gave me the down payment for the car. As you mentioned, shop classes slowly disappeared because everyone was going to college. Fortunately for me, I left my dad's construction business, worked my way through college myself on a 10-year plan, and became a teacher in rural Amador County for about 3 hours, which is 3 hours east of you in historic Sutter Creek. The good news is that in small rural towns, even here in California, we still have shop classes today. I know the shop teachers, and they are still teaching auto shop, welding, and farm shop. There is hope. Dennis Price in Pine Grove.
When I was in West Virginia at my alma mater, Salem College, for 3 months, I had a Chevy Nova with a straight six, which was like 6.5 liters or something, but it wasn't the 409.
6 liters.
It was like a six liter engine.
Big six, they used to call
Big
it.
six. That's what a college student needs. That's your gas tank.
Gas was 25 cents a gallon.
Back in the day.
All right, so there's no jingles, no. Give him a karma for that. Nice.
Yeah,
note.
it was a good. I like that. Good note. Appreciate that.
You've got karma.
We move on to Dustin Sainer from Truro, Iowa, 333.34. I need some courtroom karma as the ex is suing me to force the jab on my 8-year-old. Ugh, gosh. This sucks. I know the story. He's kept me up to speed. If any producers in the medical field are willing to help build my case with statements, reports, testimonies as to why the jabs is not advisable for children, I welcome anything I can get. Dustin.sainer@gmail.com. Dustin.sainer, S-A-N-E-R. We'll update with outcome and complete my knighthood at a later date. Can't thank you guys enough for what you do for the best podcast in the universe. Thank you very much, Dustin. And you've got the karma right here for the courtroom.
You've got karma.
Good luck. Adam Carter's next. He's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 333.33. I'm donating on behalf of my mom, the illustrious beekeeper, and my dad, the grand ambassador of Amish hands. I could no longer sit idly by and watch them continue to suffer the agony of douchebaggery. Happy Christmas, Mom and Dad. Stay safe.
Stay safe! I think this should be de-douche then.
Yeah, de-douche him.
You've been de-douched.
Devin Wood is in Nevada, Elko, Nevada. The perfect 5-3s, 333.33. First things first, for some reason, I can't recall, I dropped the show sometime in late March last year after being a regular listener. The year I needed your show the most. Please de-douche me.
You've been de-douched.
Yeah, this is a familiar note. I'd seen signs telling me to donate. The first was seeing an actual sign marked Cargill outside of the Morton Salt facility on my way to Salt Lake City, not long after Adam's analysis on the subject a few episodes ago. The next was after having heard that one of America's first Omicron cases got it at an anime convention. Being an unfortunate viewer of these Oriental moving picture shows myself, I could not ignore this. Consider this an advance donation for the overtime I'll be making, starting a new job in January doing survey work in and around Nevada's gold mines. I'll be driving a lot at all hours of the day and realize I need you two to keep me sane on the road in lieu of the paranoia surrounding the great meme disease. I'm blessed to be here in northern Nevada, where as far as we're concerned, there's no pandemic. MSHA isn't mandating the vaccine for minors here in the U.S., and the mine I've worked at the past year has been desperately trying to incentivize its employees to get the shot, offering up deer tags, Raiders tickets, airline money. Only one person at the mine, where about 90 out of 650 full-time employees are vaccinated, has taken the offer so far. All that said, I'm happy to be back listening to the best podcast in the universe. As for jingles, in honor of the weebs who've succumbed to the common cold variant, I'd like to request Fear is Freedom. Oh, yes, that's the marching pigs. Yes, marching pigs. Originally from Kill la Kill, yes. Followed by Al Sharpton and A Goat Karma for All. Faithfully yours with steel-toed boots on the ground in Elko County, Nevada. Digging for gold, ladies and gentlemen, Devin Wood.
Fear is freedom. Subjugation is liberation. Contradiction is truth. Those are the facts of this world. And you will all surrender to them. You pigs in human clothing!
RESPICT.
You've got karma.
I almost beat matched that. Damn. Tight.
Tom Davies in Cary, North Carolina, 333.33. In the morning, John and Adam. I started listening to the show after Adam's most recent JRE appearance. Now I'm hooked and started looking forward to the show every episode. Please accept this 333 as a token of the huge value I receive from your podcast. Also, I hosted my first No Agenda meetup this past Thursday, the Cary Courage Local 919. It was a great turnout. Around 220 people attended, which included 2 human resources and even some of the famed folks of Fuquay-Varina. A good time was had by all and really was like a party. We need a bigger venue next time. This is my first donation, so please de-douche me.
You've been de-douched.
And if you would play a Jobs Karma jingle for anyone that needs it, keep up the great work, and thank you for your courage. Tom.
Yeah, that's interesting. So he comes straight in. He's relatively new. It's only been a couple months. He's already got the numerology. He's got the 333. He's hosting meetups. This, my friends, this is a natural-born, no-agenda producer.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
David Gio, I would say. G-U-I-O-T, Gio. David Gio, Wildwood, Missouri. And 333.33. This is Switcheroo. Switcheroo for my lovely wife, Elizabeth. Okay. Duly noted. I hit her in the mouth around the beginning of the year. Can you please de-douche her? Well, of course we can.
You've been de-douched.
Her birthday is on Wednesday, so please add her to the list. It's done. Jingles, biscuit on my birthday, shut up, slave, and no. Tight. We love it.
They always give me a biscuit on my birthday.
Shut up, slave.
No.
As part of the random number theory, Adam Rink comes in with 31219, and he starts it off switcheroo.
Oh, no.
This donation is from my wife. For my wife, Brandy Rink, of 12 years today.
Aww.
She'll be driving home listening to the show. John, please tell her to pull over safely and check the glove box for her anniversary gift. Happy anniversary!
12 years and they never had a fight.
I think she piled it up. Jingles request, Biden take vaccine? No. Alabama. Obama, you might die. John, it's a scam. And resist we much.
Get vaccinated.
They always give me a biscuit on my birthday.
Oops, sorry about that. Didn't mean to do that. Come back.
Get vaccinated.
No.
Donate.
What's wrong with you?
Resist. We must, and we will much about that be committed.
You've got karma.
What do you mean, what's wrong with me?
You never did Obama Might Die.
Oh,
it's a scam.
No, it's a scam. That was oh my God. I'm sorry. I'll cut all that out. Let me do it again. Hold on.
No, leave it in.
But of course I'm going to leave it in. I always say I'll cut it out. I'll never cut it out.
Oh, I see.
No, and I had them all picked, and I swiped the wrong way. You Might Die, then it's a scam. And I had that one too. I just picked all the wrong ones. I don't know what happened. Sorry.
Get vaccinated.
No.
You might die.
Life is a scam.
But resist. We must, and we will much about that be committed.
That'll have to do.
That's good enough. Baron Finch is next at 23456 from Portland, Oregon, becomes our first associate executive producer. And he writes in, hey, all you spooks out there, you hiring? John and Adam, thank you. Jingles, climate haiku, two to the head, boom shakalaka girl. Ooh, she haven't heard for a long time. And karma with the twisted goat. Thank you, Baron Finch.
So he's referring to the former head of the European Union. When we started the show early, we called Herman, whatever his last name, we called him Haiku Herman. We got a lot of, I think the haiku actually, wasn't that a Japanese haiku that he did?
I don't remember. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
But he might have had a climate haiku, but I couldn't find it, so this will have to do.
Meni wa aoba, yama hototo gisu, hatsugat suo.
Did he want the different one?
He wanted the girl.
Boom shakalaka girl. Okay, I think I have that one.
Boom shakalaka.
No, where did that go?
Wow, I never heard that one.
This is crazy. Was it this one?
Boom shakalaka.
No, same one. Bingo.
Bingo. Boom shakalaka.
No. Boom. It was something. Oh, Nick's Kid, I think is what it was. Gosh, how do I remember this stuff? Nick's. Yeah, I was right.
Boom shakalaka. Boom shakalaka.
Nailed it.
You've got karma.
Off the rail.
Yeah, I am off the rails. Okay, so no, I'm off the rails. Now we're at John Taylor from Florisant, Colorado, and he's got a row of ducks, 22222. These ducks will fly me to the exalted rank of knighthood on my 53rd birthday, which falls on today's show. On the last show day birthday, I was still a multi-year douchebag. As such, I would like to call out Senor V. Doss, who hit me in the mouth years ago as an unrepentant douchebag. I would like to be Sir Vessa of the backside of Pikes Peak. I would like Rocky Mountain oysters and Paradox Scully barrel number 61 Cafe Vibrante sour coffee ale for the round table. Okay, we had a 62. I'll ask him for the 61. Jingles. Here it is. John Scary donate. See? Then, for some reason, little girl no. I'm not sure why. Douchebag, and then a biscuit for my birthday.
Donate.
No. They always give me a biscuit on my birthday.
There you go.
He left the douchebag out.
Well, we'd already done the douchebag, but...
Oh, no, but I think in the series it went like this. They asked to donate, the girl says no, and then she's called out as a douchebag, and then the biscuit goes for the birthday.
Well, let me try it again.
Story.
Yeah, well, let's try the story again. I'm sorry. It's just no...
Donate.
No. They always give me a biscuit on my birthday.
There we go.
There we go. Mike Supko in Belmar, New Jersey, $200.76 as a nice short note. He wrote it on paper. Proof. Greetings from the Jersey Shore. Enjoy your podcast. Helps get me through these crazy times. I would like to request health karma for my beautiful wife, Diane. Thanks, Mike. And then he has a P.S. at the end that says, P.S., by the way, Jack won.
Jack won?
Yeah, Jackwon.
Or Jack won.
Well, it could be Jack won or Jack won, but Jack won is a good Chinese name, seems to me.
So what does that mean? What do I do with this information?
I don't know. It's just a by the way P.S. I don't know.
I'm not quite sure. You're confusing me.
There.
This information is too detailed. That Larry show, that Larry show from Tozana, California, $200 associate executive producership, and that Larry show says to Adam and John, $200. You guys do 3 things that deliver exponential value. 1, you fearlessly tell the truth. 2, you always make it entertaining. 3, you make us realize we are not alone. Thanks, and Merry Christmas from That Larry Show.
And he actually just comes in a card, and the card says That Larry Show on it. ThatLarryShow.com, by the way.
Oh, that's sexy. We don't have cards.
No, we don't. ThatLarryShow.com. We need cards.
We do.
All right, then we move on to Kendra Lamott in East Haven, Connecticut. For $200, she'll be our last associate executive producer for show 1409. John and Adam, wishing you both a Merry Christmas. This donation officially makes me a dame.
Oh, wait, she's not on the list.
Well, here it comes.
Oh, goodness.
I would like to be known as C.S. Dame Kenny Ben. I'm sorry. Start over. Dame Kenny Ben, keeper of the Karens, but it's spelled C-A-I-R-N-S.
Mm-hmm.
Keeper of the Karens. I am referring to the Karen Terriers, the adorable dogs, not the nasty women known as Karen. Requesting health karma for my upcoming surgery. Aw, that's right. She was in she was sick for a while.
Yeah,
we were rooting for her.
In hospital.
She was in hospital. For the round table, she'd like a lemontini and sushi. Lemontini and sushi. Lemontini, it's a good drink. Love is lit,
I love me a good lemontini.
She has a very cute note card, by the way, with a kind of an image of her at the top.
Well, she's one of our top artists, so you'd expect her to have something fun and like a real calling card, you know? She's no slouch here.
You know what's interesting about this note? It's handwritten, and it's leaning to the right.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing is like, oh.
You can just turn the card a little bit. It'll be okay. Or just look at the ground and you won't feel dizzy anymore. It's very simple. Thank you very much, executive producers and associate executive producers, for this episode, which is 1409 of the No Agenda Show.
You're going to give Karen her health karma?
I'm going to give her a big-ass health karma. I'm going to throw some goat in, too. She needs it.
You've got
Kenny Ben.
Karma.
Sorry, I called you Karen for a second there. Sorry.
I'm going to do another karma.
I was just referring to the dog.
Just because we were talking over it. One more.
You've got karma.
There you go.
Ooh, a double hit.
Thank you. We'll see 2 of you at the round table in the second donation segment for your well-deserved night and daming. And these are official titles that we don't just say these things, executive producer. No, we mean it. We title it that way. You get an official credit. It's valid anywhere credits are accepted, which is most Hollywood outfits. But also you might impress just some bigger company or maybe in a small, or maybe someone at the bar. It always works. Put it on your business card. Do something with it. Put it in your profile. People recognize it. You may also meet fellow travelers. So these things are all bonuses, and we really appreciate today's execs and associate execs for checking in and helping us out. And we will be thanking more people in our second segment coming up. If you'd like to be an executive producer, here's where you go.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Thank you for your time, talent, and treasure for No Agenda.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Order. Get vaccinated. Shut up, slave.
Charlemagne bit before we forget.
Yeah, let's do a background on it so people know what we're talking about.
Yeah. The background is Charlemagne the God, who is one of the number one morning shows, certainly urban radio, as we call it, urban radio. We can't say black. It's urban. It's urban format. The breakfast show is very, very, very popular. 7 to 8 million people listen. And he also does a television show, streaming, which I want to say is on Disney Plus. It's streaming somewhere.
I don't think so.
I don't know why I'm thinking that.
It's on YouTube anyway, so whatever.
Okay, so, well, he's basically a YouTuber now. And he had Vice President Kamala Harris on the show. Now, what was interesting, well, actually, here is a report as the M5M reported it, where he asked the Vice President a question, and she answered it with a big-ass finger wag.
The Vice President did snap back at radio host Charlemagne the God after he suggested Joe Manchin is really the one pulling the strings.
Who's the real president of this country? Is it Joe Manchin or Joe Biden, Madam Vice President?
Come on, Charlemagne. It's Joe Biden.
I can't tell sometimes.
No. It's Joe Biden, and don't start talking like a Republican about asking whether or not he's president.
Do you think Joe Manchin is a problem?
It's Joe Biden, and I'm vice president, and my name is Kamala Harris.
That little bit there, that really shows who she is, doesn't it?
Oh, it was pathetic.
And now, I'm Vice President Kamala Harris.
I want to hear your analysis, because I heard one analysis because I watched a bunch of these analyses, and I heard one that I thought was pretty accurate, and but I think it'll follow best after I hear because you had the pre-clip, the earlier stuff.
Yeah.
He's trying to get through to her, and they're trying to roust her. It's a very interesting dynamic going on. They're trying to get her handler's trying to get her off the stage.
Well, her handler is none other than Simone Sanders, who quit.
Who
probably quit after this. And you'll hear it. He asked the question, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, technical difficulties.
Serious.
Who's the superhero that's going to speak against Joe Manchin? No. I want to know who's the real president of this country. Is it Joe Biden or Joe Manchin?
I'm sorry. I interrupted. I don't think the vice president can hear you. It's Simone. I'm so sorry, Charlemagne. We have to wrap.
She can hear me.
That's Simone.
You can hear me? Can you hear me now?
That's always a good one. I can't hear you. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me, Madam Vice President?
So I'm sorry. You got to wrap.
Oh.
So I'm sorry to interrupt.
They're acting like they can't hear me, yo.
I can hear you.
So who's the real president of this country? Is it Joe Manchin or Joe Biden, Madam Vice President?
Come on, Charlemagne. It's Joe Biden.
I can't tell sometimes.
No. It's Joe Biden, and don't start talking like a Republican about asking whether or not he's president.
Hey, was that no even in the first clip?
Yeah, it was there.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure, but you can play it. Let's be sure. Let's be double sure.
I can't tell sometimes.
No.
You're right. It was in there.
Joe Manchin is a problem.
It's Joe Biden, and I'm vice president, and my name is Kamala Harris. And the reality is, because we are in office, we do the things like the child tax credit, which is going to reduce black child poverty by 50%, on track to do that. We do things that are about saying that our Department of Justice is going to do these investigations and require that we end chokeholds and have body cameras. It is the work of saying we're going to get lead out of pipes and paint because our babies are suffering because of that. It is the work of saying people who ride public transit deserve the same kind of dignity that anybody else does. So let's improve that system. It is the work of saying that we have got to bring down prescription drug costs because folks who have diabetes...
I want you to know that Madam Vice President, that Kamala Harris, that's the one I like. That's the one that was putting the pressure on people in Senate hearings. That's the one I'd like to see more often out here in these streets. Thank you for joining us, Madam Vice President.
I'm glad to be with you.
Absolutely.
All right, so here's my assessment. is this was, as per usual, was scripted, was set up. She had all her answers to address black problems, like somehow the child tax credit or checks, whatever they're going to do. 50% of black babies, black people. Everyone should be able to ride on the bus because, black people have to sit in the back. And he just threw her for a loop, and her brain went haywire. She's like, why is this guy not sticking to the script? And Simone Sanders knew it the minute he started to do it. Now, why he did that is probably Democrat Party chicanery, trying to make Kamala look bad, which, of course, resulted in Simone Sanders quitting. So that's what I got.
Okay, well, there's one little additional thing that one of these guys picked up on, and I thought he nailed it. Because of the confusion where Simone Sanders is stepping on everything at the very end there, the question that
I know. Yeah, okay, go ahead. I got it. Yep.
She heard, is Joe Biden president thing, and that's why she referred to Republicans. She thought he was asking if the election was it was not rigged and Trump should have been the president, and all that kind of thing came back to her because she thought that's what he was asking her, and that's why she said, no, Joe Biden's the president. Why do you ask to talking like a Republican? And so she got bent out of shape because she thought, instead of asking she didn't hear the Joe Manchin part, because he was trying to make the point, well, who's running the thing if Joe Manchin has this much power? That's what he was trying to ask. But she never heard that part. All she heard was, this is an illegitimate election, like the Republicans keep saying. And so she got her bent out of shape, and then she blew up. And I believe that that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I as you were saying that, I was thinking maybe, she was thinking like, am I the president? My name's Kamala Harris. And she had to remind herself, I'm the vice president. No. Yeah, you're probably right. That seems like what happened. So she actually didn't hear it because Simone was yapping over her.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I think here's an additional element. Harris probably reviewed this afterwards and realized the mistake she had made, and she fired Simone.
Ooh, yes. There's no leaving. Yeah, she's such a political beast, that Simone Sanders. You're right. Why would she leave of all people? Nah. Yeah. Good one. All right, we're done here. Good work.
This is what we do.
Well, I'm going to take it one step further. Let's do one more deconstruction while we're at it. You had an outstanding clip that we laughed about the virtue signaling and the really, I would say, rude women at NPR who interviewed the Taliban leader and really felt it important to make themselves part of the story. Here's a quick redux of your clip of NPR Taliban interview.
So before we get to the substance of your interview, may I ask you just take us inside this meeting with a Taliban official? Who was he and where did y'all meet?
Sure. So his name is Naeem Wardak. He is the spokesperson for the Taliban political office. And we met at a hotel in Doha. He was very courteous. We made small talk about the weather and traffic. We sat around a large conference table for the interview. My colleague Hannah Block was also there, and both she and I did not cover our hair for the interview. We spoke with Wardak for over 40 minutes. The interview was entirely in Arabic. He answered all of our questions in detail. And while he mostly looked down as he was speaking, he did also make the occasional eye contact.
Okay, I can picture it. I feel like I'm there with you.
Oh my God, I can picture it. I just see it. You don't have, your hair is showing. The man is getting nervous. He couldn't even look at you. I can, as a woman, I can picture it. So as with all things, we go to our producers to find out exactly what was going on. In this case, one of our producers came to you. If you want to know about Islam, well, let's talk to Sir Onimus of Dogpatch in Lower Slobovia, who sent me a note about this. And he said, the complete lack of understanding of culture during that interview is insulting. He's Muslim. The boys in the culture are raised not to look or stare at women that are not an immediate relative. Senior leaders may be murderous assholes and will encourage stoning for infidelity, but if a woman is walking down a street, he will give way and not look at her. The Pashtun reference didn't look out of courtesy and respect, not disrespect. Many of the women I know from that region may seem demure, but under those burqas are knives and Glocks, and men know it. Men will kill brothers and nephews over insults, but only a father can kill a daughter if she leads a corrupt lifestyle. A, quote, bad woman protected by her family is usually left alone and protected by parda customs that keep them separate anyway. Not meeting eyes was respect toward that woman. Western women often take eye avoidance as a sign of their strength, while tribal men believe it demonstrates their strength and discipline of being polite and reserved by not staring at them. Ask men who serve. They exchange dark glasses for yellow sniper glasses to reduce suspicion of soldiers staring at the women. That sets a couple things straight, doesn't it now?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Sir Onimus.
It also indicates that the Taliban, when they first started taking over, they had a press conference, which is something they never do. And I would think, and maybe Onimus could clear this up, that you could put together some intermediaries that could do these sorts of things. And follow Western customs to be a little more, in line with negotiations and make it work a little better. Because we do that in the United States and some of the West. We do a lot of sociology about foreign cultures and try to adopt to their ways when doing negotiations. It's part of a sales trick. You're going to get good at sales. You don't want to go into and insult people, and so you have to follow the other person's character, their worldview. So you adopt to them. These women, these reporters obviously didn't do any of that, which is a mistake. And the Taliban guy didn't either. So it's just like a mess. So you create these situations. It's just asking for trouble.
A mess, but I would have to say NPR is Islamophobic. That's what that was. It's Islamophobia.
Yeah. That's a very good point.
So NPR, you Islamophobic cuck, stop it. Let's stay in Afghanistan just briefly. Kirby, our rear admiral there, had to make a statement because, it turns out that drone strike, we killed the guy with the water bottles and 12, 13 other people, caused a ruckus.
A bunch of kids.
Yeah, a bunch of kids, Hey, man. Our bad.
How does it strike you that no one is held accountable? Because I know how it strikes a lot of people around the world that you can get away with murder and nobody's punished for it.
I do understand that. We appreciate that. Not everybody's going to support this decision. What I can tell you is we looked at this thing very, very comprehensively. And again, we acknowledge that there were procedural breakdowns. Processes were not executed the way they should have been. But it doesn't necessarily indicate that an individual or individuals have to be held to account for that. But look,
is there discipline inside the Pentagon at all? I mean, maybe there are no charges brought up, but is anyone demoted or disciplined for what happened that day?
What we are going to do, there's not going to be individual discipline as a result of this, Willie. But what we are going to do is learn from this, and we're going to enact and improve our procedures and our processes to try to make sure this doesn't happen again.
A disgrace of epic proportions. A general, someone should resign over this. It's disgraceful how this is being... Yeah, but it's disgraceful. Children died. I don't care if they're brown and live in the desert. They're children. There's no reason. It was an epic mistake. It was bullcrap to start. The whole operation was poorly planned. Someone should step down. Perhaps multiple people should step down.
No one's stepping down. They're going to lose their pension. They're not going to have their cushy job.
No, I understand, but I'm just showing a little bit of outrage where Kirby's like, oh, no one's going to be really disciplined.
Kirby isn't.
We're just taking... It's unacceptable. I send a check in April too, It's unacceptable that this took place and no one... And you know what? How about this? I would be very happy if Kirby stepped down.
Oh.
Just you. Why don't you jump on the grenade? Kirby, Rear Admiral.
Kirby?
Yeah, Kirby. Oh, sometimes it just makes me mad.
So on another note, I had got a little bitty clip here from NPR. It's about the educational people. Schools, they're going to start closing schools again.
Yep, of course.
And I found a little segment here, just a little part where they left the word out. This is the schools. I got it spelled SC. Schools learning virtually.
It's all right. I'll never find the clip again.
The White House is concerned about major disruptions at hospitals and schools due to Omicron, and they outlined a plan to prevent what we saw last year, which is most children learning virtually.
Wait a minute.
They left out the word nothing. They've learned virtually nothing.
Hold on.
The White House is concerned about major disruptions at hospitals and schools due to Omicron, and they outlined a plan to prevent what we saw last year, which is most children learning virtually.
Nothing. They're learning virtually nothing.
It's so true. Virtually nothing, people. Hey, California, what is the... we moved out of Austin. We've been gone for 5 months now, more or less. What is the number one thing that Texans say about the new people coming to Austin? I mean, you don't know necessarily, but you could probably guess. In fact, there's T-shirts. It's like, hey, please don't California my Texas.
Yeah, I've heard this.
Yeah. So we're expecting that people come in. Now, of course, they have California, Texas a bit, certainly Austin. My pet peeve is and mainly women who make reservations at multiple restaurants weeks, sometimes months in advance, leave them sitting there so no one else can get a reservation, and then just let them go and even pay the $10 fee if there's one. They don't care. So they don't care about people.
Well, you know what they've done out here, which you should adopt. It's not a $10 fee. They take your credit card and they charge you for what you would have paid for a full meal if you don't show up.
Some of these people probably wouldn't even mind that.
You can cancel. So they're not going to take your money, but you got to give them 24 hours at least.
Well, the practice is just rude. It's just rude. But they've now
why take a chance practice. This is the same like the health department. Why take a chance? Yes, shut everything down. Why take a chance? I don't want to be blamed.
They brought the ultimate California experience to Austin last night. This is interestingly a place that Tina and I have frequented quite often.
Austin police are still searching for the robbers they say smashed and dashed at Barton Creek Mall last night, escaped with jewelry from the Hellsberg Diamond store, and prompted an evacuation after people started calling 911 saying someone was firing shots. Those reports were mistaken. Overnight, APD confirmed nobody ever fired a weapon. Rather, the sounds were the suspects beating the hardened glass inside of the store. And this morning, we're getting a look at the chaos inside the mall as it was happening. Nobody was hurt, though.
No, nobody was hurt, though, and no one will ever go to jail because another thing we have in common with California in Austin is a district attorney. Brought to you by George Soros. Everyone gets off free.
District attorney that won't file anything.
So thanks, California. We got our smash and grabs here now, too.
Well, these ideas, they're just too good to keep in one place.
Hey, when there's looting at the top, there's looting at the bottom. It's so obvious.
This is kind of ended around here for some reason. Something's changed.
Well, now people are, I saw people are leaving the trunks of their cars open in San Francisco. Can you confirm this is taking place? Because there are a couple stories that I've seen about it.
Yeah, I can confirm it's not taking place.
That's interesting.
Nobody's leaving the trunks of their cars open.
They have pictures of cars with their trunks open.
Hey, buddy, can you take your car and open the trunk? Can you open your trunk and then you go back and take the photo? Bull crap.
I remember in the mid to late 80s when I was in Manhattan in New York, which was probably, we didn't have the same amount of homeless congregated on Skid Row, although there's some pretty interesting iffy areas. 7th Avenue is an example, Times Square. You'd see cars, and I remember distinctly because I came from Amsterdam, all of a sudden I'm in Manhattan, and every single car that was parked on the streets of Manhattan would have a sign. And the sign would say, no radio, no valuables. Yeah. And the glove box would be opened. Too. Yep, the glove box would be opened. And they'd because back in the day, people would steal your radio. Now they don't need to get in the car. They just take the catalytic converter.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
The good old days.
I'm telling you.
All right, what else we got here on the list?
Well, I just have a quick one just to mention. I want to remind people, the Ghislaine Maxwell.
I have
you have a clip? Oh, you have a clip? Oh, good. Well, let's see. Where is it?
It's the Maxwell clip. This is the closing of it.
Brilliant minds think alike. This is why there's two of us.
Maxwell says she will not testify in her criminal sex trafficking trial. The ex-girlfriend and longtime associate of the convicted sex offender, the late Jeffrey Epstein, made the announcement herself as her trial winds down in New York. Ghislaine Maxwell is accused of recruiting underage girls and grooming them for Epstein to sexually abuse. She pleaded not guilty. Authorities say Epstein killed himself in prison 2 years ago. Maxwell's lawyers say she's being used as a scapegoat for accusations against him. The defense rested their case today, setting the stage for closing arguments to start on Monday. CBC's Valerie Castro, live outside the courthouse in Manhattan. Valerie?
What are you learning?
Shep Maxwell was given about an hour to decide if she wanted to take the stand in her own defense. She eventually stood up and told the judge, Your Honor, the government has not proved its case beyond a reasonable doubt, and so there is no reason for me to testify. The defense wrapped up its portion of the case this afternoon after calling witnesses over the last 2 days. Today, one of those witnesses included one of Jeffrey Epstein's former girlfriends, Ava Dubin, who remained a long lifetime friend. She testified she never saw Epstein engage in inappropriate conduct with a minor. The defense has repeatedly called into question the memories of the 4 alleged victims in this case, and yesterday they called a memory expert to the stand. She testified that memories can be fragile and that they can be manipulated. In cross-examination, the prosecution pointed out that out of the 150 criminal cases that this expert has testified, all but one have been for the side of the defense. Other witnesses included former employees who say Maxwell was demanding but well respected and never saw any inappropriate contact between her and any minors.
Yeah, I have thoughts about this. You have anything?
She's going to get off.
Mm-hmm. Here's my quick take. People's bias and misinformation has clouded their vision. I could have done a whole nother Scott Adams bit on this because he also went into the Ghislaine thing. Your bias is getting in the way. Somehow, many people believe that only men can be horrible monsters. The Black Widow in the middle of the web is the person alive. This is the true blackmailer. She is the problem. And she had Epstein killed, or it was killed on her behalf. She has a dead man switch. She knows where all the bodies are buried. This is the woman, and they haven't even really considered that. Oh, no, she recruited women. No, she pretty much did everything. She maintained the computer. She maintained the archives. She has the spook family. And the whole world is like, she recruited an underage kid. There's so much more that we'll never know from this trial. And it's sad that everyone just won't focus on what's to me, plainly obvious. She is the one, not Epstein.
Well, that's an interesting observation. You would be removed from the jury immediately. We want to remove juror number 3.
33.
Number 3. Number 33. Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Hey, good news, John. Good news is you and I are getting up there in the in age. We're up there in the years. And, it's like we got a couple of things to worry about. You and I equally, by the way, especially considering my performance during the jingles today in the donation segment.
New research has found that chances of developing Alzheimer's disease was decreased by using what? Viagra?
That's right, Viagra. This drug that itself was also formed by a happy accident. It's known by the name sildenafil as well. It was initially developed as a blood pressure drug, and it's all later found that it could also treat erectile dysfunction. So a group of researchers actually looked at insurance claims from more than 7 million patients, and they found that they saw an association of a 69% reduction in Alzheimer's disease among Viagra users.
I love this because it's so obviously a Pfizer promo.
Pfizer promo. These guys are, yeah.
And the reason why is because this is not this is on Science Friday on NPR. Oh, science. Hey, the Science Friday, guys. Science says that Viagra stops Alzheimer's. And we know that because science, because Pfizer said, look at the correlation, not causation, but this is your climate change, people, the correlation. So just because people who take Viagra, less of them have or develop Alzheimer's doesn't mean it's causation. Yeah, and this is Science Friday.
Yeah, this is pathetic. This is the kind of science we're getting now.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
Yeah, we do have a few people to thank. A little shortfall today on the No Agenda show for 409. Rita Harrington, Sparks, Nevada, came in with $164. She's got a birthday, and she says it's her birthday, actually, the 20th. Sir Verms, or Worms, WERMES, $100.69 out of Phoenix, Arizona. Barry Boniface in Newport News, Virginia, $100.55. Markela E. King in Menifee, California. Thanks for a year of entertainment. Matthew Smith, $99.99 in North Royalton, Ohio. Guess who's here?
Who's here?
Sir Kevin McLaughlin, the Duke of Luna, the lover of America, and
boobs.
8008. David Pardon in Pensacola, Florida, $75. Heather Johnson, $75 from Lincoln, Nebraska. Sean Thorpe in San Luis Obispo, $66.67. David Groff in Wyoming, Ohio, $61.80. Tim Ratter in Woodstock, Ontario, $55.10. Dean Roker, Sir Dean Roker, $55.10. Daniel Mariano, $55.10. John Fitzpatrick in Heber Springs, Arkansas, $55.10. Jackson Butler, $51.50, and he's in Levelland, Texas. And he's got wants a jobs karma, and John up above him wants karma for everyone, and we'll put that at the end for you. Kevin O'Brien is $50 in Chicago, Ohio, and all these people are $50 for name and location, if appropriate, if I can find it, actually. Starting with Kevin O'Brien and Scott Lavender, Sir Scott in Montgomery, Texas. David Burton in Cincinnati, Ohio. Andrew Gusick, Sir Andrew in Greensboro, North Carolina. Marie Labruyere in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania. Metula Rainwater in Waukegan, Illinois. Jessica Young in Yuba City, California. Natalie Amato in Round Lake, Minnesota, with a birthday. Sir Jerry Wingenroth in Saugus, California. Leanna Shipley in Covington, Washington. Last but not least, Sir Spud the Mighty in Marietta, Georgia. I want to thank these folks for producing and helping get show 1409 or 1409 off the ground. Thank you very much.
Very much appreciated, everybody. Thank you for this support. Thanks to people under 50 who do that to remain anonymous, because we guarantee that. Sometimes we'll pick up a note from the second donation segment. It's not guaranteed.
We do have some make goods or something in this.
Yeah,
area, so.
I want and not that I just want to make sure he's okay. Sir Anthony Seven, Viscount of Hamilton. He was doing his 6 donations towards the end of the year, and he didn't show up today. I just want to make sure he's okay. I have no idea if he's okay.
Oh, I don't know.
Yes, let's take a look at these make goods. I have one here. This is the Louisville Local 808. We missed this one on the previous show. Earl Mittens of A World Distant here, sending salutations to all of Gitmo Nation vis-a-vis the December 4th meetup donation collection in the name of the Louisville Local 8008. Local boob.
All right. Yep.
That's right. I claim full responsibility for the nearly 2-week tardiness of this tender and request to be called out as a douchebag. Douchebag. Explanations and or excuses that would add rationale to the delay will take a backseat for now in lieu of loquaciousness. I proffer bullet points. What is this? 10 tried and true producers of the best podcast in the universe gathered at Beer Nose Pizza, where the most would decimate some pie. Jeff was busy baking while Amy was the heroin solo server on the floor. Spin a couple of yarns and ogle ivermectin rations. I thought my copy of Dvorak Predicts would be the most fondled item at the table, but only after my demands to record selections for a forthcoming recap did it really gain traction. The spirit of Northern Silicon Valley would fly high when it came to nut-fisting dramatizations. The gravel graciously plopped 2 cans of Costco varietals on the table upon arrival. Yes, that's the fisting nuts. You know, Maxine Waters' gravel has a whole fisting nuts operation going on. So brought the nuts. The aforementioned Army deserves a de-douching for Amy deserves a de-douching for her 33 contribution to the collection plate.
You've been de-douched.
Oh, and congrats are in order for her daughter and soon-to-be son-in-law. They showed up near closing time and announced their engagement. Oh, how nice is that? This should have been on audio at least. This is already too long and will likely be sent around the time Adam nails Cinco de Mayo for this episode. That's too late. So peep game word is there's another locale claiming boob brand rights. I vaguely remember a call out from said group a year ago or 2 ago. It's possible. Which is ancient in these time-distorted dystopian days. Thus, in the same breath, this is why your email's long, okay? You put in time-distorted dystopian days. Thus, in the same breath that I apologize to our chapter for not yet completing the oral artifact of our hang, I humbly ask that Duke of Luna, lover of America, and boobs be the arbiter who designates the rightful teat team. Louisville, love is lit, and such. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. We didn't have emails for Wouter van Diepe or Dennis Price, but I think that satisfies everything, and a final jobs karma for all.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
And remember to support us for the next show.
Dvorak.org/NA. It's your birthday. On No Agenda.
Oh, this is the list that we have for today. Natalie Amato celebrates today. Rita Harrington will be celebrating tomorrow, the 20th. Barry Boniface will be 55 tomorrow. Joe will be 36 on the 21st. Antonio Anselmo will be celebrating on the 21st as well. And David Guillot says happy birthday to his lovely wife, Elizabeth. We say that as well. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe.
It's your birthday, yeah.
One dame, one night, perfectly balanced. Equity is what we're all about.
I got the equity sword right here.
Up on the podium, please, John Taylor and Kenny Van Kandra, both of you, set to join our illustrious roundtable of the No Agenda Dames and Knights, and well-deserved. Thank you for supporting the show in the amount of $1,000 or more, and I'm proud to pronosticate the Cerveza of the backside of Pikes Peak and Dame Kenny Ben, keeper of the Karens. For you, we've got Hookers Ablow, Rent Boys, and Chardonnay by special request, Rocky Mountain Oysters and Paradox Scully Barrel number 61 Cafe Vibrante, and Lemontini and Sushi, along with some vodka vanilla, bong hits, and bourbon, sparkling cider, and escorts, ginger ale, and gerbils, and, of course, the mutton and mead. Both of you, head over to noagendanation.com/rings. Get all the information in there so Eric can get those out to you as soon as possible. We got new rings coming, so you'll be able to sport those at your next at the next meetup. Speaking of meetups,
No Agenda Meetups.
and the party will be happening today. In fact, not long from now. The Stand Tall Sunday, 3 o'clock Mountain Time, calling northern New Mexico and southern Colorado to the Roland Smoke Garage Barbecue. Also today, the No Agenda TMI Evac Zone, 3:33 p.m., just about to kick off in central PA and northern Maryland. Lydia's Stone Brewing is where you want to hang out in York Haven, PA. The Slaves of Southern California Stand, 3:33 p.m. today, Sandy's Beach Shack in Huntington Beach, California. Tomorrow. This really is a Madtown meetup. That's 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Club Lamarck in Madison, Wisconsin. On Tuesday, Resist We Much, Sen Cal, No Agenda Monthly, 2:30 Pacific, Barrel House Brewing Company Tap Room at River Park in Fresno. Also on Tuesday, the local 203 Winter in Connecticut. With nice lights. 5:30 Eastern Time, Republican Kitchen, Monroe, Connecticut. And on Thursday, that'll be show day. No Agenda Silicon Valley, 3:33 p.m. at the Smoke Back Room in San Jose. Can you make it, or is that too far, San Jose? It's a pain, right? Go to San Jose. It's a trek. Yeah, it's a trek. It's a trek.
Well, it's not,
and then just winding it out. So that's Thursday. We don't have anything scheduled for the night before Christmas, Christmas Day, or really until the 31st when we hit South Jersey. And then on January 1st, Oregon Local 33, Philly will be on the 1st. And we have plenty of meetups booked through the month of January into Boston on February 5th. This is so important. This is if you get good, you feel good from listening to the show, you're going to feel great when you go to a meetup. It's the same vibe, only without that mass formation, lack of social contact. You're actually interacting with people. NoAgendaMeetups.com. They are good for your health. They're important. And if you can't find one near you, then just start one yourself. NoAgendaMeetups.com. Guaranteed like a party.
Sometimes you want to go hang out with all the nights and days. You want to be where you won't be triggered or held to blame. You want to be where everybody feels the same. It's like a party.
Okay. You got ISOs?
Yeah, I got a couple.
What you got?
I don't think my ISOs are great.
No, I don't mind are great either. But what do you got?
Okay, let's go with jerked around.
Tired of being jerked around.
Mm-hmm.
Tired of being jerked around. Okay, now this one here I think is a good end to show because it's simply a thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, let's see if we have something to compete with that.
I draw the line at podcasts.
A little too noisy.
Muddy.
Get the facts.
No. This one maybe.
No.
Okay, I can go with that.
I have one more.
I think it really destroyed my brain.
Toss up.
That's the one.
Toss up.
No, I destroyed my brain is perfect.
It sounds like us, doesn't it?
So I have a couple of clips left.
Okay.
But I want to play. This is the one I kind of wanted to play. I want to play this again. I've been following John Kennedy because his grilling of people.
he's a grouse of epic proportions.
He's really good. But I have a couple of different ones, but I'm going to just play this one because the other one's a little too long. There's this guy Dale Ho who wants to be a judge, and the guy's a left-wing nutball. And so everyone's going after him and giving him grief. But Kennedy, and there's nothing I really wanted to take out of this. I could have divvied it up, but I have the whole thing is shortened because I cut off the beginning of it where they do a couple back and forth. This is a little long, but at the same time, it's genius in setups. And you have to imagine this guy, Senator or John Kennedy, being your dad. He sets you up. He leaves information out so you can say something stupid, and then he grills you about what you just said and makes you clarify. And it's just genius the way he does this.
And what was the context again of this question?
You guys going to be appointed as one of the district judges.
Got it.
It's the judicial committee.
So it's going to be figuring out if this guy can follow the law is the real requirement.
Yeah. And he's not an asshole and all the rest of it. Yeah. And then I got another one. He did the same thing with a woman who wouldn't answer one single question. But that was more tedious. This is more interesting because he there's a bunch of things he could do. For example, like he brings out some tweets the guy did, and he could read the tweets, but no. He'd rather set the guy up for other exposures. It's a work of art to listen to this guy.
Well, strike that. Did you say, quote, Republicanism is an anti-democratic virus?
No, Senator, I don't believe I've used those words.
Okay, you're under oath now.
Yes, Senator, I don't believe I've used those words. I do remember saying last year that there was a loss of confidence in our elections that has spread kind of like a virus.
Right. Well, that's a long way from calling the Republican Party an anti-democratic virus.
Yes, it's very different, and I don't believe I used those words, Senator.
Right. If you did use those words, will you pull down your nomination?
Senator, I don't believe I've used those words.
But if you did, will you withdraw?
It's hard for me to imagine a scenario in which I would.
I'm just saying, assume it. If you said it, will you withdraw?
If I were quoting someone else saying it to describe that kind of sentence, I wouldn't be expressing my own views. But, Senator, I don't believe I've ever used those words. I've represented.
Did you? Did when you sent out those personal tweets about Senator Cotton, Senator Blackburn, and Senator Cornyn, did you mean them at the time?
Without hearing those tweets, Senator Kennedy, it's hard for me to remember precisely, what was said or what I was thinking at the time. I do very much regret the tone that I've taken on social media from time to time. I know that I've crossed the line from time to time, and
When you crossed the line, did you mean it?
Without knowing the specific context or the specific tweet that you're referring to, Senator Kennedy, it's kind of hard for me to say.
How about that one?
But do you generally tweet things you don't mean?
Senator Kennedy, I would agree with you that Twitter has become a very coarse place.
I don't want to debate Twitter. Do you generally tweet things that you don't mean?
Well, Senator Kennedy, I've contributed to the coarseness on Twitter sometimes by pushing the envelope to break through.
But when you did it, did you mean it?
It's hard for me to respond to that kind of generally, Senator Kennedy, without a specific
You're a smart
example.
guy. Sure you can. You either meant it or you didn't. You got two choices. Door A, door B.
Well, Senator Kennedy, I know that I pushed the envelope.
Okay. Do you regret it?
I do regret it, Senator.
Do you regret it because you didn't mean it? Or do you regret it because it might cause you not to be confirmed?
Senator Kennedy, I regret it because I think it's contributed to the coarseness of our discourse overall, and I think it would be better.
When did you have this epiphany that everybody has equal dignity and worth? When you were nominated, or
well, I believe you're
including Republicans.
Well, I believe you're referring to my religious faith.
No, I'm not.
Senator.
I'm referring to your coarseness.
Well, the equal dignity and worth is a principle of my religious faith, Senator.
It's also a principle of morals and good judgment. I'm over. Mr. Ho, you're a smart man, I can tell. But I think you're an angry man. And I really have great concerns about voting for you. We don't need federal judges who are angry. We need federal judges who are fair and can see both points of view.
I would call that a butt slam of epic proportion. Holy crap. Yeah. You know what? Usually he's more annoying, but he had so the upper hand from the moment, because he knew the guy lied. He know the guy twatted that.
It was a work of art. The way he never had to read the tweets. All he had to do is get the guy to say one thing or another. He said, "But then were you insincere? Were you always, do you do it, or your tweets insincere? You're lying." It was just beautiful. But then again, when it was over, I thought, can you imagine this guy being your dad? I mean, well, brutal.
I didn't have a great relationship with my dad, so you've triggered me now, and it was not good. Thank you.
Well. That's John Kennedy.
Yes. I don't know if there's anything else that we need to hit today, because it will be an interesting week. We got a lot of stuff coming up. Let me see. Do I have anything left here?
Well, I do have the Elizabeth Holmes update if you want to.
Oh, yes. Oh, please. Yes. Where are we at with that? Is everyone resting?
It's getting there.
Okay.
Shep, at this moment, U.S. District Judge Edward Davila is wrapping up his final instructions to the jury. This is a crucial, if often overlooked, phase of the case where he tells them how to frame the things that they've heard over the last 13 weeks of testimony and a couple of days of closing arguments. It will then be up to a jury of 8 men and 4 women from in and around Silicon Valley to decide whether the toast of Silicon Valley was, in fact, a fraud. The case and the fate of Elizabeth Holmes will be in their hands shortly. It could be as soon as this evening, but not before they heard from her defense attorney, Kevin Downey, who for 3 hours today hammered on the theme that Holmes had no intent to defraud. That's an essential element of the crime. On the contrary, he said, she believed she was building a technology that would change the world, so much so that she never sold a single share of stock till the bitter end. The investors who plunged nearly $1 billion into the startup knew the risks they were taking, Downey said.
Hold on. I need to stop. She never sold a single bit of stock until the bitter end. This was not a public company. When you're a startup with venture capital, you don't go selling your shares. It's called like a complete confidence problem.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
exactly. They could have brought that up. And this is CNBC, by the way.
Yeah, and in a big company like Facebook or pre-IPO, there's a secondary market, but that's not what this was. So you're an idiot, guy.
Technology that would change the world, so much so that she never sold a single share of stock. Was
that her defense? I never even sold any stock, man. That's how much I believe in the company. That's how much I believe in the company.
The bitter end. The investors who plunged nearly $1 billion into the startup knew the risks they were taking, Downey said. And the evidence of botched Theranos testing, he said that was all anecdotal. But in rebuttal, Assistant U.S. Attorney John Bostic said Holmes deliberately painted a false picture of the company to investors and patients because she was desperate for Theranos to succeed, willing to do anything. The disease that plagued Theranos wasn't a lack of effort, it was a lack of honesty, Bostic argued. That started at the top, and the top being Elizabeth Holmes. So Judge Edward Davila, as I said, is instructing the jury. He is probably about 2/3 of the way through that, and what we don't know yet is whether he will have the jury start deliberating tonight. It's going on 5 p.m. Pacific time here, so we'll see whether they get it tonight or they start up on Monday. They have a lot to go through, and Shep, one of the things that we were looking for in these instructions was how the judge would instruct him on that issue of intent. The government clearly wanted a more broad view of what that constitutes, and in many ways, not in all ways, but in many ways, the judge did side with the government in that very crucial instruction.
It's my opinion in the United States, if you have the money, you can really work the justice system. That's why I think Ghislaine's not going to be a problem at all. She got money, all kinds of money flowing around that woman. This one, what do you think? Actual jail time? Because she did humiliate some pretty big players in the Valley.
I think she's going to get some jail time, but it's not. She's eligible for like 20, and I think she's probably going to get a 5 years. This is my guess. 5 years, and probably get it cut down to 3, and she'll probably be out in 2.
Yeah, and then in a year and a half, we'll have pictures of her in an orange jumpsuit picking up trash side of the highway
along the road. I'd like to see more of that. By the way, this state, this whole area is grimy with trash.
Oh yeah, well, no, COVID, can't do it. COVID. All right, everybody, that's your deconstruction. We deconstructed a lot today, so I feel we brought the donuts. Coming up next on NoAgendaStream.com, you can hang out in the troll room. Bowls with Buds, special guest Mo Fax on the show. That should be fun. And end of show mixes from sound guys Steve and Tom Starkweather. That is the one you want to hang around for. It will give you a complete idea. It is a gem of what's happening in New York City with the Omicron. It's scary, so scary. Looking forward to seeing y'all on Thursday as we get ready for Christmas. Looking for some end-of-show mixes from Christmas time.
This week is ahead.
Yeah, that's right. Coming to you from the heart of Hill Country, Texas, here in FEMA Region number 6. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where, I don't know, it looks pretty crowded to me. I don't see a pandemic out there, but I guess there is one. I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Thursday right here on No Agenda. Remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. And until then, adios and mofos! And such.
Joining us right now to talk more about what to expect from today's meeting is Dr. Scott Gottlieb. Dr. Gottlieb joins me now.
Joining us right now is Dr. Scott Gottlieb.
Joining us right now is Dr. Scott Gottlieb.
Scott Gottlieb, former FDA commissioner.
We go now to Dr. Scott Gottlieb.
Hustler. There's evidence that there's a decline in immunity over time. I got
Nothing to lose, much to gain. In my brain, I got a capitalist migraine.
The first two doses were provided so close together that they probably really served as two primes. There's a lot of vaccines on the market that require 3 or 4 doses before you really get immune memory. So it's not unheard of to require multiple doses of a vaccine. Well, look, I think we absolutely need to care. People are going to be hurt. There's going to be death and disease as a result of this wave of infection.
I'd rather be a New Jack hustler.
I think the North and the Northeast still are going to have a wave of infection from Delta. The reality is vaccine-induced immunity can be redosed. The announcement today about the priority review was sort of just a formality. The vaccine's protecting them even if they're still susceptible to a breakthrough infection. I do think that having a vaccine available for young kids is going to help restore confidence and return us to a sense of normalcy.
Got me twisted, Janet, to a paradox. Every dollar I get, another brother drops. Maybe that's the plan, and I don't understand. Goddamn, you got me sinking in quicksand.
Generally, we're seeing the breakthroughs among people who are older and who were vaccinated a longer interval ago. Delta creates such high viral loads early in the course of the illness that if you have declining levels of circulating antibodies, it can overwhelm your initial defenses. Those cells will prevent you from developing severe disease, from being hospitalized. We have seen bad outcomes in kids. We've only seen about 50% of eligible children ages 12 and above actually get the vaccine. Some states and local districts are going to make the decision to mandate vaccination right now. Talk to your pediatrician and consider getting your child vaccinated. I have young kids. They'll be eligible for the vaccine when it's authorized for ages 5 to 11. I certainly plan to vaccinate them.
Dr. Scott Gottlieb, he's a former FDA commissioner and current Pfizer board member.
Your systems are offline. You're listening to the No Agenda Morning Zoo on Getmo Radio.
That would be idea.
Butt slam!
You are correct, sir.
In the morning. Word on the street is Santa Claus himself will be showing up. He is already vaccinated. That has already been taken care of. All of his reindeer are as well.
You can't actually see COVID spreading, but if you look around you, the long lines at testing sites will tell you everything you need to know.
Numbers of sick are rising. Lines for COVID testing stretch down the block.
As the number of COVID cases continues to climb, this rapid rise of infection is concerning, with holiday gatherings and travel just days away now.
We see what's going on in New York City when we're getting beyond double digits of Omicron being the primary variant there in that
The
percentage.
holidays are feeling a lot less merry in New York City, due in part to the coronavirus
More than 21,000 new cases reported statewide. The previous record, January 14th. But if you take a look at the hospitalizations today versus then, they're less than half. So that is good to
New
look at
Yorkers
there.
have been rattled by the highly contagious Omicron variant.
It is upon us. Health officials say the surge in cases in New York City is being driven partly by the highly contagious Omicron variant.
Officials say the new Omicron variant is spreading fastest here in New York and in New
Restaurants are also
Jersey.
contending with breakthrough COVID cases and a highly contagious new strain. The challenges keep coming for
It is usually the season for shopping and holiday parties, usually big business for stores and restaurants, but not this year.
Not much room for celebration either at crowded testing sites. Some New Yorkers checking out several lines for the best wait.
I've been here about an hour and a half, and it's been very long. Everyone's just been waiting, and it's been really scary with the new variant. Very, very scary.
We were in our seats, excited, and around 10:40 they canceled, so it was so upsetting. I thought it was a joke at first.
Earlier today, the Radio City Rockettes said they were scrapping several performances of the popular Christmas Spectacular in New York City because of breakthrough infections. And New York is one of the most highly vaccinated places in the entire country.
We're one of the most highly vaccinated places in the United States of America.
Public advocate Jamani Williams, who now has breakthrough COVID despite being vaccinated and boosted.
Thank God it's pretty mild.
Vaccines work against Omicron, especially for people who get booster shots when they are eligible.
New York Governor Kathy Hochul says that she wants the definition of fully vaccinated against COVID to include the booster shot.
Based on whether it was Pfizer, Moderna, or J&J. I mean, this is the information I have to be
maybe the technology itself can be blue if you're eligible and red if you're not. I mean, technology is an amazing thing. It can do wonders nowadays.
We're doing everything we can to build what may be for a little while a new normal. Stay in your places of work and go to worship and schools, but do it with a mask on and preferably with a booster shot.
The best podcast in the
Dvorak.org/NA.
I think it really destroyed my brain.